Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me this week are two incredibly special guests. First off, you might know him as Galactic Grizzly. I know him as Jaelen, aka Jay. Jay, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Jimmy. Thank you for having us on the show. Shout out to all of Jimmy's viewers tuning in for another favorite podcast on the internet.
Oh my
Appreciate
gosh.
it.
Yes, you're too kind. And we are joined by your lovely wife, Autumn. Autumn, how are you?
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, at first I was thinking, should we call you guys Mr. and Mrs. Galactic Grizzly? Because, Jaelen, you have a channel called Galactic Grizzly on YouTube. But Autumn actually has her own channel on YouTube as well. Autumn, what's the name of it?
It's just my name, Autumn Brown.
Cool. That's great.
I don't know. Is it under anything? I think it's just Autumn Brown.
Just search Autumn Brown.
Yeah. I do mostly Loungefly content. I do have a couple Disney videos in there too, and just some like Disney hauls. I love Disney merchandise. Speaking of, I know this is going on a tangent.
No, it's great.
Disney just released a Coach line.
Whoa.
So I had to buy some things. So I will be making a YouTube video on that. And if you want to check it out, shameless plug.
Link down below and in the cards above if you're on YouTube. But I wanted to throw that up top in the beginning there, especially for our audio listeners only, just because if they want to find you guys, like I said, I'll probably also talk about it at the very end. But Jay's been on in the past, and now Autumn, you're on too, and I want to show you guys some love because you guys are showing me some love by being on this week's show, which is all about this little indie flick. You might have heard of it, called The Batman. No, I'm just kidding, that indie flick. It's a pretty big deal, right? After Spider-Man, which was the last really massive release, this also kind of comes in. I looked up the box office numbers, and it's still kind of going as of the kind of the current future of the superhero stuff starts to trickle out now that the pandemic is who knows where it's at. But now we're starting to get all these movies that were supposed to be out like a year or 2 years ago starting to come kind of in rapid succession. $134 million at the box office on its first weekend here domestically. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah,
So,
wow, that's
yeah,
amazing.
it's nice to see that. But anyway, we're going to talk in broad strokes for everybody listening at home. But it's been a few weeks since The Batman actually came out. So hopefully everybody's seen it who wants to see it. But if you're on the fence, don't worry. We'll flip the old spoiler switch here. And you will not miss the moment that happens. But if you're worried about that, I'll put a timestamp in YouTube down below, just so that way you can avoid it. But again, if you're listening, there will be almost no way that you can avoid it unless you skip ahead too far, because there will be lots of loud noises and screaming. But don't worry. Hopefully just on our end, not on yours. Anyway, The Batman. We are starting all the way over with a brand new Batman here. And I thought it was also really fitting because I was thinking about it. The last time, I think, Jaelen, you were on the show, we talked about Joker. So it feels like every Batman thing we have to, like, from now on, I'm just going to have you on, you know, because we're talking about, like, the gritty, realistic version of all these characters. Which this one definitely feels a little inspired by the Joker. But we're looking at a Batman, a younger Batman, set probably... it was like 2 years or a year and a half or something into his career as the Caped Crusader, dealing with the Riddler, his first kind of big bad, as it were. So I want to start, like I said, we're talking broad strokes overall. And Autumn, I want to start with you here today. What did you think overall of this portrayal of just Batman himself?
I went in with a super open mind because I am a pretty... I wouldn't say pretty big, but I am a decent Batman fan. Like, I do really like Batman. So I was like, I'm just going to go in with an open mind. I'm not going to have any expectations, because I didn't want it to ruin this movie for me. And I'm telling you, that was the best thing I could have done, because this was like super refreshing. I really, really loved it. I believed Robert Pattinson. And I thought maybe it would be weird that he's Batman, because he didn't, I mean, like, if you think it, well, when I first heard that he was going to be Batman, I was like, duh, Robert Pattinson, really? But I liked the long hair. I liked that he was more dark, and he bulked up for that movie. Robert Pattinson, he's normally super slender. So I was like, oh man, he might be super skinny and Batman's supposed to be chiseled, you know? Like Batman's essentially doing combat, so like he needs to be kind of big. I think it was very very well executed, and he was a little more thoughtful with this process. Like I liked that they took pauses and there was no puns or jokes or things that they like snuck in those moments. Like you can tell that he was figuring it out because he had never encountered it before, and he was like putting it together, and it was just like great because normally Batman is quick. He's like very snappy and like knows what he's going to do next. Almost it kind of reminds me of Sherlock Holmes. It's a very similar, like, I know what I'm gonna do next. But he was like a lot slower and more timid, which I also enjoyed.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. What a great summary of all of that. Now, Jaelen, I know that we've talked a lot about this too, and your favorite Batman in the past, I think probably the same for me, was Christian Bale's, take on it. Where does, Robert stack up now after you've seen this and had time to digest?
Right now, probably 2. As a kid, I really liked the Keaton Batman movies. So he will always have like a special place. But the trajectory, if you look at the stats here, the trajectory of the Pattinson Batman, I think he'll probably finish like number 2 once, I'm assuming, like sequels come out or whatever. But yeah, I think he'd probably be like my second favorite behind Bale.
Okay, nice. And so for you, obviously, we've got one movie with him so far. Where Christian Bale, we've had 3, Keaton, we had 2. So there's a little bit more to go. So we'll see if they continue on with this. Maybe that'll change. Maybe he could take one day. Maybe if he's already potentially in Silver Place for you. Now, what was it about him specifically? Because Autumn was talking about him kind of being more dark, maybe more brooding than some of the other Batman. Was that a factor for you, or was there something else that you really liked about him?
Yeah, I like that a lot. That he was kind of like the emo kid. Like he was, probably in his presumably mid-20s ish, and it, kind of showed by just the way he carried himself and just the way he spoke. And like Autumn said, like if he was asked something that he didn't immediately know, I really like the fact that he would sit and pause and think about it for a second. I just mainly like when people do that in general, when they don't just spit out an answer and people like, even if it is kind of an awkward silence, they'll take a second to think about it. And I thought it was cool that they put that into his character as well. Usually, like the conversations with Catwoman, usually that's when you would see it, or with Gordon, and he was just like you could see the cogs turning in his head. But yeah, and then like his interactions with Alfred, I was kind of like an angry teenager with his uncle or father, like his father figure.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I didn't say that either, but I agree. Yeah.
Like very just like, kind of I'm mad at my family life and right. So it's cool that he carved out his own lane in the Batman.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys brought this up organically. This helps me so much. I both I'm not gonna say love and hate, love and find hilarious, because I totally understand why, but the little journal entries, because I feel like while they're really good for giving information, especially at the beginning of the movie where it's his voice and it's talking about Gotham and what's been happening to it, and he's kind of wondering about his impact at all or whatever. All I could think was like just him being like, "Dear Journal, day 256. Alfred comes down to the Batcave again, and he says, you have to eat, Master Wayne. And I say, I'm not hungry. And he says, here's a PB&J. He took the crust off just the way I like it. And I say, you're not my dad, Alfred. And he says, nothing. There's a single tear goes down his cheek. He walks away silently. I eat the sandwich. He's not the dad I want, but the dad I need. Like that's all I could think was like everything could just, every day is just him writing in his little journals. And I thought that was very endearing, but also slightly hilarious, just because I love to think of it like he goes home and he's just writing furiously. He's like, what happened today? Like, and he's like putting them somewhere.
When I first heard him narrating the journal, it immediately reminded me of Watchmen with Rorschach's journal, where he would just
Yes.
Just go on
Brilliant.
those, I don't know, just his journal entries where he would just narrate them, and immediately I was
Yeah.
like, where have I heard this before?
Whoa.
Oh, Watchmen.
What a good pull, Jay. Man, so intuitive. I rewatched that kind of recently, so you nailed
nice.
it. That is very much exactly the Rorschach. Maybe that's why I was thinking of it, because I was like, oh, it's like this little journal thing. I just think of Batman too, like, not that he's ever going to get caught, but he's usually so gadgety or techno based with like the computer and stuff.
Yeah.
Just say techno based, not listen to ADM or anything, but like to have it.
I know what you
like,
mean.
He's like writing everything down. I'm like, it just seems so
Yeah.
incriminating. But I guess he's new to it, It's like,
Yeah.
I should probably throw this out.
yeah.
Alfred,
Exactly.
you burned my journal.
Alfred's reading those journals, man. Like the second he leaves, he's reading them, and he's just like, Master Wayne. Which we should probably talk about. Alfred, played by the great Andy Serkis, which I think with both of these guys, they cast them quote unquote younger, so
I
that
loved
way
it.
they can.
loved a younger Alfred.
I think they're going to
I
grow
was
into the
so
role,
happy.
right? Oh, you like the
Yeah.
younger? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't like old man Alfred?
I'm so tired of seeing an ancient Alfred, like an Alfred that's like gray.
Come on,
like
Grandpa.
complete. Well,
Get the hell out the back.
you know what I mean, like that he couldn't do something.
Yeah,
That he couldn't help
Sure.
Batman essentially,
Right.
and it's like he was not. He was looking good. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
I was like, his body is still. I mean, if Alfred had to throw down, he probably could have at that age. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
He was more than just the butler.
Yeah.
Sure.
He was dad. He was a dad figure for sure. Like more at that time than when he's older, because Bruce Wayne has already grown into Bruce Wayne.
Mhm.
yeah.
So he doesn't have to be a dad at that time. He probably just steps back and lets it go. And it's like he's figured it out. I don't have to be here anymore, really. Then he's the butler again, just the butler.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see that, like Jay was saying, the angsty teen, and for him to just be like, I'm doing this alone. Like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And Alfred's like, no, you don't. Not
Yeah.
at all. Like.
Yeah.
And also I noticed like Alfred was still very endearing,
Mhm.
even though he was trying to be more stern.
Right.
He was still like, you can still see that he really cares about Bruce.
Yeah. He didn't abandon him or.
Yeah. Also, it was good
Ignore
that they added more help, because I was telling Jaelen,
Oh yeah.
in all the past Batman movies, I've always thought it's so unrealistic that it's just Bruce and Alfred in this humongous house and that they don't have anyone else to help. Like really? That's like so unrealistic, especially at this time. Like they're peak with money right now.
Yeah.
This is before he really like lost it, or when he started losing his money, didn't have anything to go into the whatever the fund that they have.
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up there. I didn't even think about that. Another great intuition point, because you're talking about they have like a maid. They might have a few other people kind of milling about. as
Yeah,
well.
because like the
Yeah.
manor is humongous,
Yeah.
and so I mean, it wouldn't make sense for just them to. And it's in the past movies, sometimes the house looks abandoned.
Yeah.
In
Right.
certain
Just
like
from the way
just the way that they
furniture's
have
covered and stuff
right.
like
It just
that.
looks like they live in abandoned, like essentially like they're squatters. That's what it looks like. That's what I've always thought. Like, there's so many rooms in this house that you're not going to use, and then it's just goes to rot basically, because you need people to upkeep a house that
Yeah.
large.
Yeah.
So it was a lot more realistic on that sense too.
And maybe that was one of the big shifts, having it be at the top of Wayne Tower this time. I don't know if that's really a spoiler for people, but I remember when they first walked into kind of that main eating room, it looks like they're in like a church or something. And I don't know if
Mhm.
that was a
Like
real
a
location
cathedral.
or a set. Yeah, I remember looking at it and I was like, I was sitting with my cousin who was in town. I was like, okay. I was like looking at him like, this is a bit different, but I totally get it. The bat
I
in the
told
belfry,
Jay that too. I was like, this is new.
Yeah, I like it.
But Jalen was like, it's supposed to be old. Like it is supposed
Right,
to
yeah.
be like historical.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I mean, like I think it fit
Oh, yeah,
quite
totally.
well.
I really
like, it
loved it.
looked. Yeah, I liked the
Ornate.
gothic look.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gothic and Gotham.
it went with him. It
Yeah,
went with him.
yeah.
He's email.
Yeah. The
He's
only
gothic.
thing we were missing was like him hanging upside down, just like sitting above the table eating food, just like a bat,
or like sleeping in a coffin. Or
Alfred, Alfred, I'm a bat now. Like,
Alfred, bring me milk.
Exactly. It's like, please,
Milk.
Master Bruce. Please. Oh my gosh, Jaelen, where do you land on this new Alfred? Do you like him as much as Autumn?
Yeah, I thought it was a good fit. It was really strange to see Andy Serkis not being like a villain or some crooked dude. Like, it was so strange to see him as a helping hand to the protagonist for once. But yeah, I agree with what Autumn is saying. Like, he good fit, and I think that he'll, just like Pattinson, will grow into his role.
Yeah. And it's weird to think that like you cast a young quote unquote Alfred, where it's like he's old obviously in this, but like what Autumn was saying too before, mostly when we think of Alfred, we do think of him as being more like ancient. So they're probably like, all right, we're gonna get a great talented actor like Andy Serkis, and he's gonna like age into it over time, and then maybe by the time they're done with 8 of these movies, he can seem like he's old, like
Yeah.
like I'm old.
And he's such a big part of Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's like I feel like he deserves a better role, to be portrayed better than just this decrepit man that's been beside Bruce Wayne this whole time and just been bossed around his whole life. Because, like, I mean, a kid doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
It's not like he just was bossed around and was like, whatever you want, Master Bruce.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I mean, if he was like, I want jelly beans for dinner, I'm sure that he was like, no, Master Bruce, you need to eat vegetables.
Yeah.
Like I'm so it's like, I feel like it's nice to see them shine a light more on Alfred and who he is. And also, I was kind of heartfelt when he got injured, because I was like, oh no, like, why Alfred? Like, couldn't it have been a maid?
The sparks haven't flown yet.
That's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll
Spoiler
get to it.
alert. I'm
Alfred
sorry.
trips down some stairs, everybody, but
Yes,
he's fine.
Alfred chokes on something.
Yeah, we'll circle back to that. Don't worry about it. That's a prelude to what's coming. I wanted to say this though too about Alfred before we move on here. I'm excited to see what they do in the next one with him, because I feel like I have seen this story a little bit in the past where they kind of, like, earlier on, as it were, like Bruce and Alfred kind of like, Bruce is kind of like, yeah, you're not my dad, and then he's like, but maybe you kind of are. So like I want to see them more, working as a team, even more so in future installments, because Alfred brings a lot to the table. And for everybody who doesn't know, there's like this show called Pennyworth that's on right now that's like Alfred when he's young, fighting in like World War or something. I don't know.
Alfred?
Yeah, so if anyone's really interested in knowing more about like the Alfred backstory or lore, there's a whole television show based on it now. It's kind of like it's like, was it Peggy Carter, like for Marvel, a little bit, where they're like, here's this character, and it's like, here's a whole television show for her. It's like, oh, cool.
Well, I mean, he had to be doing something right.
Yeah, right.
For the Waynes to have had him,
Exactly.
because like, that's such a delicate job.
Yeah, very
take
much
care
so.
of their child, essentially.
Oh yeah, totally. One of you mentioned it earlier. I can't remember which one, and I kind of want to just kind of talk about all the main characters, because there's a lot of characters here, but there's a few more that I was like, we do need to talk about in broad strokes. I want to talk about Catwoman, Selena Kyle, played by Zoe Kravitz. Now, I want to weigh in here first, because I think you guys are gonna have a lot to say. I thought she was fantastic, and maybe one of my favorite things about the whole thing, and I don't like cats. All right, guys? It's just the truth. One of my things I find the funniest or cutest, I don't know what it is about her, she's got the whole costume, and then, like, I don't know if it was, like, the cloth was easier to wear. I feel like that's, like, if I had a cosplay budget, I would have bought everything, and I'd be like, oh, man, I gotta get, like, a helmet, and I'd be like, just give me a hat. Like, I don't put my hat on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a cat burglar. But no, I kid. But she was great, and I thought she played the role super well. She could be seductive but brutal. She was very emotionally charged, and I thought she was really interesting. And they wove her in without making it feel like, I don't know, like, it felt natural the way that they did it with her. And for me, she's fighting for top spot with Michelle Pfeiffer with the Keaton like Catwoman, but that's like a
Yeah.
very like tried to be old school comic booky as possible.
Right.
Whereas they didn't like. Spoiler alert! I'll give you the spoiler, guys, right now. She doesn't die, and she's not reresurrected by cats. All right, that happens in the Keatons. If you came to the movie, you're like, why didn't she get resurrected by cats? Stupid. But anyway, Jaelen, where do you fall on Catwoman and its portrayal in this film?
I thought she did excellent. Like you said, like she was able to be many different things, and like you said, the way she was presented was pretty organic and just felt right. It wasn't, in 2021 this could have been Catwoman's movie with some Batman in it, but it was not. It was still the Batman, and Zoe Kravitz was right there and played a excellent role. But yeah, I think she did an excellent job. I liked the romance side with her in the Batman just felt natural. It wasn't like, they just hit it right off and here we go, which the ads kind of make it seem like that, but in actuality it's not. Like their relationship, if you could even call it that, seems to move at a pretty natural pace. And yeah, she can throw hands. She's still pretty cat like, where it's like she's trying to sneak around and that's still there. Because I feel like it's some other Catwomen that didn't seem to translate as well. But yeah, I think she did an outstanding job. Another character that I'd like to see her grow more into the role.
Yeah, very much so. And Autumn talked about this earlier. They could have easily gone back to like cat puns and stuff, which again fits I think really well in like the old school Tim Burton Batman movies, where like everything can be jokey because the whole thing's kind of campy and weird, but like kind of like dark in its own way. Where here they didn't do that, which I appreciated. Autumn, how about you? Where do you land with Catwoman?
She's sexy. Yeah. She's a very sexy woman.
Yeah.
So I was betrothed to her the whole movie, basically. I was like, Jaelen. I also like that she wasn't Catwoman yet.
Yeah.
Which is why she has a hat, because
exactly,
she has
right.
no idea
right.
like what she's going to be and what she can be. And I like just the innocence also of her relationship with Batman, because they could have thrown sex scenes in there so easy. Like they could have just made them have a one night stand or something and made it more about their physical attraction to each other. And I like that they didn't, because it's way more innocent that way, like that they actually care about each other. Like it wasn't just like a exchange, like thanks for helping me, here's some punan, like it wasn't like that. You know what I mean? It was more like, I really care about this girl and she's in some deep shit, so I'm gonna help her. Kind of thing. And it just kind of, she was the dominant one. She was the one going after Batman. Like he was like, I can't, I'm married to Gotham.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, And I like the pauses. Once again, I'm going back to this, but there was many times where you can tell that he was fumbling, trying to find something to say, and he just couldn't figure out something to say to her. Like there was like moments in the movie where you can see him thinking like, I want to be with her so bad, but I can't because I'm Batman. I just started being Batman too, and this city needs me more than my own happiness. Like I need to right this wrong, essentially because of his father as well.
Yeah.
And you can just see that fight in him the whole movie. And it was like great because she was like playing off of it. And she knew, like she knew too, like he's not going to be with me. Like I'm not going to get my hopes up so high. Like you can tell that she was just like, I'm going to throw it out there, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I like her working for Penguin. I love Penguin. I really, really, really love. Oh, sorry.
We're gonna get to Penguin. No. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get
just
there.
Keep giving.
No, that's fine. No, you see him in the trailer. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, her working at that club is great.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah.
That whole vibe is just very realistic.
Right.
Like that. I'm not gonna talk too much about that because I don't want to like ruin it. But like like that whole scene is just so realistic. Like those things happen every day in real life. So it was nice that they pulled from that life,
Yeah.
and it was just her haircut was great, her outfit was great,
Right.
her nails were great. I like that they showcased those too. Like I feel like I don't know, I feel like I don't know how to like put that into words. Like it wasn't no one said anything about her nails, but they were just on showcase a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of points where they were like showing her fingers or her hands
Yeah, I feel like that was
on purpose.
yeah, it was almost like in a way paying some homage to the Tim Burton movies, where like also with that Catwoman, where it was very like in a much more dramatic way and like over the top with the fashion and the flashiness.
Mhm.
It was almost like they took a little bit of that, took a little bit of the Anne Hathaway Catwoman, toned it down a bit, and then we're like Zoe Kravitz. There you go. Where it's like still she's her own Catwoman who is very fashion forward, but not over the top. Like that's all this is about. Like she's still, outstanding
She
Catwoman.
changed looks so many times too, which I love because a lot of the time I noticed that the Catwomen previously were a little more like they weren't as versatile with their looks. Like they did change a little bit just for like camouflage or disguise, but for her, like her hair, like changed based just on her job. Really, it wasn't even just for disguise. Like it was just how she was before that. She just liked to change her look, which is also she's black, so that's also nice because I mean also I'm not gonna say that. We'll probably talk about it later.
Okay.
But it was nice to see like a POC in like a sexy character. She's independent. She's not depending on anyone else. She's like got it together, which is I love to see it.
Yeah.
She's great. I think she's my favorite. I liked Anne Hathaway a lot, but she beats her out by a million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned a few things here I want to touch on because you guys had so much there. It's great. I love it. It's you guys are giving me so much to work with. It's so good. One thing with the Anne Hathaway version, talking about just kind of the aesthetics of it. I know they tried to kind of give her like the goggles that kind of turned into cat ears, and I remember thinking like that's all right. I do actually kind of prefer the hat that has just like the two little. It's like that's something she just has.
So cute.
Like she made a little mask, and she's like, "This is my cat burglar mask." Like,
she's like, I don't want people to know what I look like, but
yeah.
Like I'm not gonna like make something. Like I'm sure like in the future she'll probably come back to Gotham.
Yeah.
And Batman will probably make her something.
Exactly.
Something. Who knows?
That's the hope because she seems great, and like the problem is you don't want like with a femme fatale, kind of femme fatale, but with her like if you bring her back in, then she would just like she would have to be her and Batman would have to be together, otherwise it'd be like why like she would be here, there wouldn't be any tragic thing, like she would have to be like put in a bad situation again, and you'd be like, no, Catwoman, no, like I don't want you there. But I do want to take a hard stance against something. All right, something very controversial. I'm not a fan of how Batman's ears. That they go. There's always a height thing. Everybody's got different heights with the Batman ears, right? I don't know where you guys fall on this. It's not so much the height. I don't like how it like rounds into the head. I like it when it's straight on and goes straight down because there's like this weird roundness. Like if you look at because there's a lot of Batman because he's socially awkward. This is the most socially awkward Batman, I think, on purpose because you were talking about that earlier, Autumn. He does a lot of just like kind of standing amongst people, regular folks, or like cops and stuff, and he's just standing there like a total creep. And like, so I'm analyzing this because of like, all right, I get what he's like. He's just like trying to look at a crime scene, but he's like looking at a little boy whose father was, some just murdered or something. But
yeah.
He's just standing there
a couple times.
So I'm looking at that. Or when you've got Catwoman's fingernails all over his helmet, I'm like looking. I'm like, I just don't like how it rounds in and then goes up. I know it's a little thing, but it's stuck with me the whole time.
I noticed it too. It does look like a dent.
Yeah.
It just looks like a dent in his head. I'm unsure about that too, but I will say I do like that he's not like this.
Yeah, it's like a cloth thing. It's like his year
Like,
1 or 2, like his
he
first
has
attempt.
so much of his jawline like exposed, and I feel like that works so much more. Is it Christian Bale where he's like this?
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
You can
His lips are
just
just
see his
so
mouth.
pressed out,
Uh-huh.
and it just seems too comic-y.
Yeah.
But of course, they're going for that
Sure.
with that one. But this, I like that. So I focused more on that. I could see his jawline and his actual mouth, and you can like understand a little better.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I mean, give or take,
Exactly.
the
I know.
dent is very weird.
Jaelen,
I know what you mean.
Did you take a stance on this at all, or did you not notice this? Am I crazy? You can tell me if I am.
I didn't notice it much.
But now
Other thing
you
I
will.
will say is, I would imagine that it's like first gen with pretty much all of his stuff. I would imagine by the next movie
it will be
he'll have a different suit, different car, different gadgets, different the whole 9 yards. I would imagine.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Which is the cool thing with Batman.
He needs to ditch the cape, though.
What?
I think he doesn't need a cape.
Oh, we're gonna
because he has that suit.
Oh, we're gonna come back to the suit. Don't worry, because I want to talk about the suit. But okay, I wanted to bring that up. I also wanted to bring this up because we were on it talking about good old Robert Pattinson. People call him like Robert Pattinson. I don't know. There's so many things you could talk
about.
Robert Pattinson. But and the technology and stuff. He's got a few things here, but not as many gadgets. And you know what? They didn't spend a lot of time at all showing like him make the gadgets, make the suit, and again, it's not really a spoiler. I'm just telling you what's not in it. We don't see his parents get gunned down, which thank goodness, because how many times do we need to see Martha?
Oh, it's so tired.
And
it's
Thomas
so tired.
just gets shot in an alley.
Tired.
I'm like, good, we can.
And him like stammering away and
exactly right, just sitting there.
You know, like I've seen it a million times.
Yeah, I'm like, we're already in it. Yeah.
I'm kind of happy that they didn't talk about it either. Like there was no like, like in the news where they could have showed like Bruce and Martha gunned down. Like they didn't show any of that. They didn't show a newspaper that said that they were dead. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because normally that's how they do it. But I'm glad because we all freaking know what happened. We all know by this time.
Yeah. Thomas and Martha always forever in that alleyway after Zorro or whatever it was. Because it's always amazes me. It works better, I think, in like I love that in Batman Begins, though. They don't see Zorro, they see that play that has like scary demon like people in it, like they had little costumes, and that's what freaks him out. And that movie's more about like the phobia of bats, whereas this is he's like fully embraced this now, and he's just like a total creep who's fine with it. Because he'll walk into a room and he won't say anything, and he'll just kind of stare at you, and you're like, "Hey, welcome." But we're talking about the technology. Like he didn't have as many gadgets, but I think he didn't. He's got just enough to scratch the itch, and then in future he'll be like, oh yeah, I could make these things. It'll make my work way easier, right?
Yeah.
The only reason why I said I think he should dead the cape right now is because there was one fighting scene sequence where they had pulled his cape and he was struggling with the cape, and I was like, this is why a lot of superheroes don't have capes, because this is a real big hazard right there.
Yeah, Incredibles.
If you catch somebody, no capes.
No capes.
You Edna mode.
Yeah.
You grab you know what I mean? Like he's a good fighter for only 2 years, but also like he didn't have that many gadgets, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder to get away when you have a cape, I think, because that's a quick thing to grab. Is your cape? You know what I mean?
Disagree, but.
I mean, it's long. It's not like it's a short cape.
In one of the previous Batman movies, I don't remember which one it was, but I feel like he had some kind of like static charge that would go through it for that very reason. And also it would, I think it was Dark Knight, it would stiffen up because that's how he would glide. So if somebody did grab it and it would stiffen up, you would immediately like let go. So like this wouldn't really work as well. But if he makes those updates.
But well, it's first gen, right
Right.
now.
If it's just a cape, then
Yeah, because like I mean, he literally almost got choked out with that cape. I think I remember being like, the cape, like let it go, let the cape go. Like, can you detach it or something while somebody's choking you? Like, just have it let go. Like, I was like on the edge of my seat, like, die. There was a couple scenes that I was like, wow, that was great. I'm not gonna talk about it because I don't want to.
Yeah.
But there was like quite a few scenes where I was like, oh, this is a good movie. Like, I'm very happy with my purchase. So I'm going off on a tangent here, but I bought 3 tickets because my brother was supposed to come with us. And I was telling Jay, like, damn, like I wasted $15 on his ass and he didn't even show up. And then I was like, man, this movie better be good because I just spent like $50 on just me and Jay. But it was well worth it. I was like, I don't even care that I spent money on him. I had an extra seat next to you to put my lounge fly in.
Exactly.
So forget it.
There you go. Just
and I didn't have to have somebody sweaty sitting right next to me.
Yeah, right? That's great. That's
yeah.
I'm over here like I just see it, you sitting in the theater and just like where I wish we had that deleted scene of just, dear journal, day 4. They grabbed my cape again, but I decided to put oil on it. I will oil up my cape every time.
Getting rid of my cape. Yeah. Just because.
But it's so cool.
Like a hazard.
You should throw it in people's faces more. That's the thing. Like I've seen Batman use that in the past. Be like,
yeah, I've seen
face.
that too. I was gonna say that
cape, and he's got to learn that. They didn't teach him that in his myriad of martial arts across the world, which they didn't talk about in this one. That's okay. We'll come back to it because there are a few gadgets that I would love to talk about, but that would be in spoiler territory. We'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to mention a thing that you said earlier about Catwoman and a person of color. Her and Gordon are typically, I believe in the comics and in the films, typically portrayed by our white characters. But they changed them out for this one. And really, I think both characters, or both the actors playing these characters, did such a good job. It's just a showcase of, it's just, you need a good actor.
It didn't make a difference.
Just
it
didn't
make
for the
a
role.
difference.
You know what I mean? That's,
and you can tell, Gordon is Gordon.
Yeah.
And
so good.
I said it out loud to Jay, they made Gordon black because they didn't introduce him as Gordon at the time where he was shown.
Takes a little while.
Yeah, it
Jim,
takes a little while for you to. Yeah, Jim Gordon. Yeah. So I just looked at Jaelen and I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
They made Gordon black, and then Jalen's like, why not? I'm like, I mean, why not? But I'm expecting a white middle-aged man to come on the screen, so it was nice. And this may sound a little weird, but he does look like Gordon.
Sure.
By
all
the mustache, the haircut, the way that he dresses, his mannerisms.
Yeah.
It didn't make a difference, not one bit. I knew immediately, oh, this is Gordon. This is Gordon. He's black.
Yeah.
Good job.
He inhabits the actual essence of the character, and I think that's the biggest with any of that stuff. Is the most important.
Really
right?
cool that it works like that.
Something that because they could have had him come onto the screen. He's got an afro,
all right?
with a black power fist picking it.
My!
And then it's that's not Gordon, and that's the problem with all these movies now, where it's have them still be the character and not make them your caricature. That's kind of the whole point.
Exactly.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, don't let that be the defining character of a stereotype you think you want to impose on a character, Yeah, totally. Yeah, because when you leave, you're not thinking, oh yeah, that was the big thing of this movie that they
No, it just
wasn't a thing.
Oh, I don't know if I can talk about it.
It's
another spoiler alert, people.
Oh my gosh.
The mayor is a POC woman.
Oh yeah.
And that was such a minute thing, man. Me and Jaelen were like, what a nice, refreshing. Okay, I just don't like that most of the time. POCs are portrayed, if they're in a movie and it's supposed to be oh, pat on the back, we're choosing POCs. It's they make it all about black strong woman. You know what I mean? And it's didn't even play a factor. Like they
Right.
didn't talk about it. They didn't make any kind of like
Right.
hints or like jokes towards it. Like it was just
literally could have been
normal.
anybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally could have been anyone
Yeah.
of any race, any
Yeah.
gender.
Yeah,
Which was like super cool because I was like, and she was like natural hair. Like they
Right.
didn't have her wearing weave or anything. She didn't look outrageous.
Yeah.
She, she had just like normal clothes on. Like it was just nice to see a black person cast also in a minor role. Like it wasn't like she's like
Right,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's not like they could
It's
be like, "Oh, pat us on the
Right.
back.
It's
Yeah.
like
We
she
had a
was
black woman."
Yeah.
an important
You know?
person in this story at certain
Yeah, at
points,
times, yeah.
but she was not a major character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
she
I'm
was
sorry.
I was gonna say she was good, but she also had flaws too. There were like a few
Mhm.
things
Yeah.
late in the game that you were like, "What are you doing, like lady? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
stop it, stop! What do you like? I love you, but
Yeah.
get over here! Like, I don't."
Yeah.
It's like
For sure. But that would be with any
exactly,
person who ran.
Right.
exactly, yeah.
Right.
Because like most of the time the mayors are kind of dumb in these movies.
Yeah, in the movies.
What the heck?
Yeah.
What
They're
are you
like,
talking about?
Who's
Mayor.
this Batman character? They're like
Mayor.
these vigilantes. I can't trust them. I'm not afraid of anyone. I'm impenetrable. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, get over here. We need to protect
There
you.
was
But-
one scene with her and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Like,
Sounds
come
like we'll
on.
get to that later.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about Jim Gordon, who I think we all agree did a great job. It was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Great performance. That he's been around for a long, long time. And just seeing him also just dealing and being totally like the only person who's like really okay publicly with the Batman. And
Mhm.
Batman also, and I've heard a lot of other people talk about this too, how Batman works with the cops for the most part.
Right.
Like it's kind of still weird, but they still allow him in, and even like some like minor cops still have like moments with him. And I think it's great because like that is usually Batman in the past. It's not like sometimes they've had him pop in and like kind of detective after the scene has been tampered with, but like this
Yeah.
was like,
Mhm.
hey, the scene is fresh, and he comes like walking in broad like room
Right.
light as it were, and everybody's just kind of like, oh yeah, that weirdo's here, and he's just walking around and he'll say like one or two things, but then he'll just kind of keep walking around the room, and you're like, I guess he's on the team. I thought that was kind of cool. Like it was like a collaboration, and like Jim's kind
Yeah.
of like the bridge. He's just kind of like, yeah, I
Right.
vouch for this guy. Like I know he's like somebody we don't know. He's just standing there creepily, but like we've got
Mhm.
this little light I put up for him, and he shows up when I turn it on. It's really nice, It's like, do you think Bruce Wayne owns that tower? By the way, do you think like he built that tower halfway,
right,
and then he's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's condemned. No one can use it. Like,
Yeah. It has to be.
Like, Mr. Wayne, you should really do something with this abandoned construction site. He's like, yeah, I'll get around to it eventually.
Exactly.
I have plans for it.
See, and Jim would take some of his hair, but that's maybe why the bulbous head. So he keeps all of his long hair in there, so Jim can never run a DNA sample because he's probably like checking the scenes afterwards. He's like, I can't find any hair, like because there's like a time or two when he talks to me, he's like, I don't even know who you are, man. Like I love that, just like really blatant, just
I
kind of
was
like tell me, dude.
Me and
Like,
Jaelen were talking about this. We were like, I can't believe that Jim just can't figure it out. You know what I mean? Like he's seen him so many times, and it's just like all the weird mannerisms that Bruce has.
Right.
so
Like,
good.
really?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You can't put two and two together.
There
Yeah.
is like, with all that being said, this Jim also seems like he doesn't want to know. Like he seems like he's
Sure.
Like ignorance is
perfectly
bliss.
okay with, I don't know who this guy is, but that's all right because he's
I
helping
don't
me get my
wanna know
job
who it
done.
is.
And right,
Yeah.
I feel like if I did know,
It
would
would
make this really messy.
Because there was. Oh, I'm not gonna say that. It's a spoiler.
I wanted
Yeah,
to
you
quickly
good.
look this up because I feel bad that I always see his name and I always forget to say it. The actor who actually plays him, Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey Wright is the guy who you guys might also know from the very first Daniel Craig Bond, Casino Royale, as the American spy who gives the great line, and I'm paraphrasing here, when he gets out of the casino championship or the poker championship, Bond comes to him for money. He's like, I'm from America. I got all the money you need, like something like that. And I was like, oh great, that's like his character. He's just like the American spy who's like, I'm not very good at poker, but I'll back you, Bond. You want to get back in the game? But yeah,
Glad
also
he got to redeem his.
yeah, right. Also, he was in Westworld a lot. Does a great job in there. If anyone's ever seen Westworld, but Jeffrey Wright, yeah, I thought he did a wonderful job, and I want to see again, like with him, aging him into a role. It seems like someone they picked where he was at that right age. Like we do 3 or 4, 8 more of these movies by the time we get near the end. And if they ever had to like get rid of him, it would hurt because I don't know, you feel that connection with Gordon. You're like, oh
Yeah,
I love Gordon, right?
Yeah, I do love him.
Yeah. Yeah, we touched on it briefly earlier, but I want to circle back to him now. Let's talk about one of the minor characters who will probably be a major character in the sequel, and that is Colin Farrell's version of the Penguin. Now, yes, you might not know it's Colin Farrell because he's under about 1.5 tons of prosthetics. I can't believe it. It's kind of amazing. Jaelen, I want to start with you on the Penguin. Where do you land? Is he number 1 Penguin? Is it still Danny DeVito? Where do you, because you say you're a Keaton guy.
Yeah, it's still Danny DeVito. I don't know if anybody would ever be able to take that, but he did a great job. I think they did a nice job making him like a modern, realistic, like Kingpin type Penguin. Yeah, another character of like all of them. It's gonna be cool to see him grow into his role. It was. I don't want to spoil anything, but it kind of seemed like, are we gonna see him in another movie for a little while there? It's like, is he even gonna be back? But it's cool that they like even put his character in there because they could have made it all about the Riddler and never really touched on him, but it made it more comic book like, where it's like, hey, this is Gotham, and it's not just this is not run like a movie where it's okay, here's your next villain, here's your next villain. It's like, no, realistically there would be like this guy, this guy, this guy, and you would have to figure out of a way of balancing all of this. So him himself though, I think he was a pretty good addition, and excited to see him be a bit more menacing. That was the one thing I was kind of missing from him. It just seemed very just like, hey man, don't look at me the whole time. And I would like to see him just take a bit more of the I'm the guy kind of role, which I would assume we would get in future movies.
Yeah, that's the hope. Autumn, you said that you really liked him before we were kind of talking about him.
It was a great rendition of Penguin. I like the meeker seeming Penguin. I don't know if you ever watched the show Gotham.
I've only caught bits and pieces.
I really, really like that show. And in that show, the person who plays Penguin is very meek and very like I don't want to get like, but then they're actually crazy. But they are like manipulative. And that's what I think he is. I think he's manipulative.
Yeah.
I think we didn't see that part yet, but I think that he is that guy, but he doesn't want you to know he's that guy because he doesn't want to be incriminated. So like, and like, I like he kind of reminded me of an Italian mobster. And I love that classic, like the gold teeth, the I don't know,
scar or whatever,
the scars, and they kind of elongated his nose, so he looks like a penguin. Like I mean, like that's what the comic book looks like. He looked like the classic penguin, which I would think of in my head. And like the interactions with him, that's how a mobster is. You know, like you can't get information out of them. That's just how they are. You know what I mean? And at the times when he was caught, you know, he didn't have nothing really to stand on right then. So of course he's gonna be like that, like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm sure eventually we'll see because he kept putting everything on Falcone.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I don't think that it was just him, but you know,
sure.
So it was great. I loved it. I loved the way that he was portrayed. I liked his outfits. His he kind of had like a, I don't know if you, probably not. I used to work in a strip club, and a lot of the strip club bosses in their offices all have that kind of like grimy seeming, like dirty, like, like I'm not doing this legally kind of thing. Like
Sure.
that's what it seemed like. And he seemed like he, you know,
Hmm.
like it's a club.
Yeah.
So like it was just like very realistic exchanges between him and whoever he was talking to, which I think that that's spot on. I
Yeah.
don't think that he could come out the gate like, you know, because Batman had to go find him. It's
Right.
not like
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
like I'm the big honcho over here. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't think he wants people to know that.
Yeah. He's like the tallest penguin, by the way. Speaking of big honchos that we've ever seen,
Right.
too. He's like a 6 foot tall, like he's a big boy penguin. But there's nothing wrong with it. He's like an
Mhm.
emperor version of the penguin,
Mhm.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the future, we'll see him with like his top hat and his umbrella and stuff, and it'll be like, there we
Yeah.
go, there we
Yeah, I'm
go.
sure.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
More gold teeth probably too.
yeah, you mentioned the lounge for a second, and we will get into that with the full spoilers thing, which is going to be very soon for everybody. But the iceberg lounge, I think it nails the whole nightclub scene and
Oh
everything,
yeah,
right?
like
I'm
yeah,
I'm a fan of the old fashioned weird iceberg lounge where there's like maybe a water feature or like
yeah,
an iceberg that's fake.
yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
like looking, I was like, oh, they're going to the iceberg lounge. I'm like, oh
Didn't it
boy,
have
like
like an igloo theme in one of them, where it was
Yeah.
like
That.
actually like a igloo?
yeah.
Yeah. That was like that was the one that I think Jimmy, the one you're talking about, where it's
Mm.
like
Mhm.
it was ice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
or
actually ice.
and if anybody
Yeah.
plays the games like the Arkham games, Arkham City has like the Iceberg
Yes,
Lounge,
Arkham
which
City.
I love. And I was Arkham City, by the way, is my personal favorite Batman game
Arkham
right
Asylum is
now.
mine.
Asylum's great too. I love Asylum. You know,
Great, great game.
just don't like that final
Played it
boss.
like 3 or 4 times.
That's good. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember playing that in college. Killer Croc, man,
Mhm.
terrifying in that game.
I know.
Just
Yeah.
I'm going to find you, Batman. I was like, he's gonna get me. Please don't kill me. But yeah, the Iceberg Lounge plays actually quite a large role and has a funny little reoccurring joke throughout the film as we come back to it time and time again, just to make it interesting. And I'm like, thank you for putting a little levity in this very dour
Yeah.
film. Like, there's little moments where you're like, oh yeah, thank you for letting me breathe. I appreciate that. But
Yeah.
the last person I do want to talk about before we fully get into spoilers here is obviously the main character, or main villain, I should say, of the whole piece, and that is the Riddler, played by the one and only Paul Dano. For people who've seen the trailers, you probably caught a glimpse of him because they do show a moment later on in the film where they're arresting a guy, happens to be the Riddler. It strikes me as that like famous painting of the diner. I don't know if you guys have seen that
Mm.
one where it's like a diner from a certain angle. Kind of, it looks like that same diner, but like a different like point of view on it. And I know it's
I know
probably
what you're
not,
talking about.
but yeah,
Mhm.
I kept thinking that I'm like, but. And speaking of which, Gotham, I think someone else said this really well. It's like in between the Keaton and the
Yeah.
Dark Knight trilogy. It's like a city you'd believe, but also it's like just weird enough for
Yeah.
some of the stuff where you're like, even though I love the Keaton Gotham, where it's like its own character, it's like this old weird. There's like big faces on things, and you're like, I don't know who
Mhm.
made that. Like, it seems very
Yeah.
strange. But
Mhm.
the Riddler, who kind of is more like the Hush version, maybe a smidge of the Riddler, and then finally turns into like pure Riddler at the end. He is not like the last time we saw the Riddler on a
Mm.
film, which was Jim Carrey's version, I believe, of the Riddler many moons ago now. So if you guys are going into it hoping for green spandex and him running around with a cane, I'm sorry, not this time. Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
But Jaelen, where do you land on this take of the Riddler?
I thought it was good. I would say good, not great.
Oh.
I think Paul Dano did a good job. He plays a really good weirdo. Um, I just wish it's kind of same with the penguin thing. I wish they would have made him just a little more menacing. It just kind of felt like in this case he was more so like uh angry teenager who was bullied in school a lot that was like, I'm gonna take out my revenge and
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it this way.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I mean I get it, but wish they would have just made him like, especially towards the end, just give him that little more like I'm gonna put my foot on your, like just give him that little more, I'm gonna terrorize the town and like
Yeah.
this is how I'm gonna do it. Um but I really liked his character up until he like revealed himself, or once he got caught.
Mhm.
Like because that it left it a little more to your imagination as to just who you're dealing with, and then once you find out this is who he is, then it was like, oh man, you're just this kid who's like fucking bullied in high school or whatever. But so to me, it was good, not great, but I mean, I liked him. I thought Daniel did a good job.
Sure. Autumn, how about you?
I hated it. I hated him.
Wow.
I am a classic Riddler person.
Okay.
Like, I really, really thought that he was going to be the classic Riddler, the one that gets away, that he's not going to get caught because the
Mm,
Riddler is so
right,
intelligent.
that's a good
Like,
point.
and it's funny that you brought up Jim Carrey because I really thought that they were going to incorporate some of his outfit,
Yeah.
some green,
It's more of like the Hush version,
like
which is different. Yeah.
Yeah,
some question marks, like literally in his outfit or somewhere. Like it was so completely new,
Mhm.
and I just didn't like it. I also have like a in the show Gotham,
Mhm.
there is a Riddler in that show as well, and I loved that character.
Okay.
Like he was younger, but he was menacing. He was scary. Like
Mhm.
he was like, oh man, this guy is insane, like actually crazy. And I agree with Jay. I just got super school shooter vibes and I was like, this sucks. Like I don't want to see like
yeah.
and you got caught already. Like I know he's probably gonna break out or something, but
Sure.
like really?
Yeah.
And it was like there was no hitch with Batman either. Like there was
Yeah.
no kind of like Batman was like with the answers. And I'm like, this guy is dumb.
Yeah.
Like the Riddler is normally like the Batman used to have to like go away and really think about it. Like he used to like have to put pieces together and like call Gordon and like have to like figure it out. Like
Yeah.
there was none of
Because
that.
like the Riddler's supposed to be 3 steps ahead of him. This one he was only 1. It was always
Not
just
even
that.
one, like a
Sure.
half.
Yeah.
He's like 30
Interesting.
minutes before him. Like I'm like, this is awful. Like and like I don't know if I can talk about like
Yeah.
I
We'll
don't want
get
to without
into it.
spoiling it
Yeah. I'm
because I've been
sorry.
spoiling it this whole time. I'm sorry,
No, don't worry
viewers.
about it. That's fine.
I'm ruining it.
That's fine.
But like there was just a lot of parts in the movie where I was like,
Yeah.
like you can't fight either.
Yeah.
Well,
No, I mean like the Riddler is not known for fighting, but I
Sure.
thought, they would make him more aggressive since he's kind of lacking on the intelligence part. I
Sure.
thought that they would do more, you know what I mean? Like more minute, like,
Yeah.
like in the beginning I was like, "Oh, we're starting off fast."
Yeah.
But I didn't think that it was the Riddler. Like I
Okay.
was like, "Oh, I wonder who this is going to be." You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Like I'm like, maybe they made a
Made
new
a new
villain?
villain.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, cuz it's not the Joker.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the Joker always shows his face. Like he would never not show his face. So I
Yeah.
was like, who is this? Maybe the Penguin?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Right.
That'd be
They
strange.
threw the
Right?
goblin in here.
Exactly. Yeah. That
I'm
I
like,
would
who is this?
lose it. Oh my gosh.
I know that would be. I love the Goblin. He would
I
be a great addition to Batman if they ever did it. But of course they wouldn't.
That's one of my dream roles. Side note, just real world Jimmy, like actor Jimmy, not the Green Goblin necessarily. I want to be Harry Osborn who becomes the Goblin. Like I could be Peter's best friend, and then like
Yeah.
find out my dad is nuts, and then be like, I'll be nuts like dad, and then like try to kill
Uh-huh.
Peter. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that would be such a fun role, wouldn't it? I feel like the villains are having the best time. Like they always seem to have the most fun, and when you see like actors talk about it, they're like always like the nicest actors too. But they're like, yeah, I just
Yeah.
really like messing people up on screen, you know. But yeah, okay. So we're teetering on the edge of spoilers. So we're gonna get into that. But before we do, the last thing I want to do is just say with both of you. Start with you, Autumn. Would you recommend this film? You know, and where does it land
Yes.
amongst the Batman mythos?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is it your favorite
Yes.
Batman film?
I wouldn't say that it's my. I don't know actually. I really 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 like this rendition of Batman because it's way more realistic. Like you were saying, with like the least lesser amount of gadgets
Mhm.
and just the more organic seeming like interactions. Like it's more like natural. It's not. It doesn't feel as comic booky, but some people really like that.
Mhm.
Like some people are just like really interested in that because it's classic. Um, I don't know.
That's okay.
I really enjoy the Dark Knight films though.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
So, and those like hold a super like special place with me. So, I I'd say it's a close runner up
Okay.
to be my favorite
All
because
right.
it's a great movie
Yeah.
Mm.
Jay,
and
how
it's
about? Oh,
substantially long too.
yes. Yeah,
So
we'll get.
yeah.
We have to talk about that too. Jay, how about you? Where does it land?
Yeah, I agree. It's in a strong second right now. It has some potential. It could very well
Hmm.
mess around and end up being
Beat it
the
out.
the best one. But yeah, the Dark Knight series to me was just so good.
Mhm.
And I like seeing the organic kind of emo Batman, but Christian Bale still just has a very special place with his just the wittiness and like the more experienced Batman, where it's
Mhm.
like, excuse my French, but fuck you guys. Like, I'm not gonna play around with you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna disappear. I'm gonna walk off while you're still
Mhm.
talking. I'm gonna hit you with
Mhm.
this zing one liner.
Mhm.
Anne Hathaway, you're cool, but I'm still the guy. Like,
He's
there's
more
just
menacing too. Like Batman is
right,
actually menacing. Like I'm like actually like, oh, like maybe I
right,
shouldn't. You know what I mean? Whereas like with Robert Pattinson, it's kind
right.
of like, yeah, you're still a
But
teen.
with Pattinson, it does seem like he's developing that. Like, he's gonna quickly be like, all right, because with the whole like introduction of his character was really based on that. It was him like coming out of the shadows and people seeing him and being like, "Let's get out of here and take off." Like,
Hmm.
so
It
it
was,
seems like
yeah.
that's
That
coming.
scene was very nice too.
Yeah, the introduction was fantastic. I have
Yeah.
10 out of 10. I love the way that he like narrated his own introduction. It was
But I'm
really cool.
saying like Bruce Wayne, even
Yeah, right.
like
Even as
because
Bruce
like
Wayne,
him
right?
as Bruce Wayne, it's like, you know, what I mean? Like ah, Bruce Wayne. But Christian Bale is Bruce Wayne. You're like,
Right.
oh,
Mhm.
like he's still witty and snappy, and still kind of like I'm that dude,
Right.
and
Right.
like who are you gonna tell, kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but like you said, that just comes with age.
Mhm.
Maybe that he will catch on to that, but I don't think he will be as snappy
Right.
though.
Not quite there, but there's definitely some room to get up
I feel
into
like
that
he will
echelon.
be, pardon my French, but fuck you at some point.
Yeah.
But I feel like the
Probably.
fuck you will probably be a little different. I feel like we'll see
Yeah,
it in a different
yeah.
way.
Mhm.
Like,
Maybe like a I don't care kind of
or it'll
thing.
probably be the walking away.
Yeah,
It will
yeah, I can
probably be
see that
because, like,
too.
I can see him. He seems like he has more of a level head than
Hmm.
Christian Bale, in
Mhm.
like a different sense, though. Like when, like, it seems like it takes a lot for him to get mad. He's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
with like a villain. You know what
Right,
I mean? Because
yeah,
he was more
uh-huh.
frustrated with his personal life.
Right,
Like he
with
seemed just more
right.
frustrated with like his own father and Alfred and his lady.
No.
You know, all those frustrations were way more like weighing than the Riddler. He was like, "Ah, I already know his riddle. Yeah."
Yeah.
It's like, what am I gonna do about this girl though? You know what
Right,
I mean?
right.
So he's like, "Oh yeah, they, they always lie." You know what I mean? Like, no, I already have the rules. I already have 3 of them down. No,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about that. I already know who he is. It's not a big deal. Anyway, you
That's.
know.
I was gonna say. So recommendations from all of us. Then no, I see, and ranks pretty highly. Especially like you're talking about beforehand with the Dark Knight. You guys still talk about this movie in the same space, kind of as the Dark Knight. Whereas for so long, it seemed like that was the new standard, and anything
Mm,
or anyone else, it was going to be like, yeah, you're fine, but the Dark Knight's
Yeah.
still up here. This seems to be like kind of close. And I wonder if it's just the grounded take on him, or the fact the last Batman we've had was Ben Affleck's version that didn't really get his own film and
Right.
was more part of like the
Yeah.
bigger, Justice League,
yeah.
Snyderverse,
Hmm.
type of thing or whatnot, or not Snyderverse anymore, or DCE or whatever else. But I would tell people too, I'd recommend it. if you're not going to see it in theaters, I think it's good to see in theaters because that's probably the best place to see any superhero film. But I am guessing it's coming to HBO Max or something in a couple of months.
When it does, I want to watch it at home.
Yeah.
I want to watch it again.
Oh, for sure.
It's such a great movie, and the time, like how long it is, it doesn't even matter. It goes by so fast. You don't even notice it.
I think we're gonna talk about that, but I want you to be able, Autumn, to release the floodgates. You know, to be able to speak freely. But in order to do that, I have to flip the old spoiler switch over here, and it's still pretty rusty. I moved it from Minnesota. It's still rusty here in California. So when I flip it,
you get that thing approved in your county.
Don't tell anybody, but I haven't, and they will come for me.
Dog.
You dog. What are you talking about? For all of our audio-only listeners, I just grabbed a picture of Lily and brought it over.
That was great.
Thank you. I have her on hand at any time. Oh, what do you have over?
You dog.
Oh, we got another dog picture. Oh, who's that? It's very cute. But anyway, I'm going to flip the spoiler switch. And I just want you guys to be ready for it because the sparks may fly over to you. Maybe they won't, but they will definitely fly on me. Are you ready?
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Oh, the sparks. There's so many spoiler sparks. There's so many spoilers. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I didn't get too many. I think Jay covered most of
That's good.
Yeah, Autumn was pre-spoilering all over the place 20 minutes ago.
Well, I apologize.
Exactly. No, she was
just so eager. I'm just so excited.
She wanted to grease the old switch, make sure it didn't get sparks in yours truly's eyes, but still did. Always does. Again, I always like to think of the people who are only listening to this, which there's probably like 2. Hi, Mom. And me on the go around again, but they're like, what is that? What sparks? Anyway, so now it's full spoiler mode. Talk about whatever we want. I would like to start back a little ways with our dear boy Alfred, who gets blown up in the movie. Okay, both him and Bruce, I love them, but they are not good with explosives. Alfred, I'm going to give him a little bit more because it was in a parcel. And it was like I just imagine just that another journal entry, just I told Alfred not to open my mail, even though the day before he was like, just open my mail. Alfred.
Amazing though, I love that they snap back when he does realize, and it's already 2 hours.
Yes,
I was like, that was great.
Yeah,
my mouth was actually open in the movie theater. I was like, he missed it.
Yeah.
He's Batman and he missed it.
He missed it.
Alfred's dead.
Yep.
He missed it.
And the maid's on the phone and she's just like, that happened an hour ago, Bruce.
Master Bruce.
I'm sorry.
It happened 2 hours ago.
The cops are just walking, or the firefighters are walking through, just chars everywhere, and you're like...
Yeah, I was like, oh, bravo. They really did that one. Because I was like, oh, it's going to get it. He's gonna get Alfred. He's gonna get Alfred. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
he's gonna, and it's like at that point the Riddler was, well, not really actually, because you were saying he was one step ahead. Actually, he wasn't, because he failed to think that Bruce Wayne could be doing anything else. You know what I mean? Saying, right? Like it was meant for him. So it's like, I'm gonna send it in the mail. Why do you think? He does have other people that live there. You know what I mean? Did he just he's Bruce Wayne. You think he's gonna sit there and open his own mail?
Right, but I guess it kind of goes to show the
immaturity
of the younger Riddler to not think. Does he open his own mail?
Yeah, do rich people actually open their own mail? I feel like they don't. I feel like they have
no mail.
Right. No, I mean
digital checks deposited into my account every day.
No, just not about money. I don't know, rich people, they still get mail.
What if I told you?
I'm sure they still get mail.
I feel like all it was to get Bruce and Alfred in the hospital room where they could have that moment, that bonding moment, because for the most part, the Riddler was going to people and murdering them himself. And it probably would have been a little bit awkward if he jumped and tried to attack Bruce, and Bruce just like ketoed him or whatever, or like judo, I should say, across the room, and the Riddler would be like, "I am not prepared for this," and he would have just like knocked him out and been like, "All right, I guess I could take you down to the Gotham PD because it's done." It was like they had to do that versus him like getting beaten to death. Like,
well, I mean,
Bruce
the
won't let that
Riddler.
happen.
To be fair, the Riddler probably wouldn't have been able to even get in Wayne Manor. Like he probably there would have
That's
been no
true.
way for him to get in there
That's
anyway.
another point.
So, like, oh, sorry, I'm like hitting the I'm trying to think of like other things he could have done though, but I guess the mail is probably the only way that he could have done
Gotham
something.
Post doing their job.
I'm trying to think, like, what else could he have done to try to get Bruce? I mean, like, he knew that he was going to be at that. Well, we're doing spoilers.
Yeah, you're doing spoilers. Yeah, you can do
But he knew that he was going to be at that funeral.
Yeah.
But was that already after the fact?
I don't know if he knew that he was gonna be. I'm not sure.
Well, because he's like standing over him and sees him, like he's on the balcony. Remember, he's like watching Bruce.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But at that point, it seemed like it was too late because that was when the car was coming into the.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean. Like, I feel like if he was gonna try to target Bruce, that would have been the perfect time.
Yeah.
Like while the chaos is happening. Do you know what I mean?
Right, but at that, I'm just saying, like at that point, he already had that current plan. It was already coordinated.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's all about. I thought about this.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe. No.
Yeah, which dovetails nicely into that moment where it's like you think, like everybody thinks, even Bruce thinks that he's been outed as the Batman when they're having that confrontation in the prison. And they're, you know, Riddler's behind the glass, and he just keeps saying, he's like, Bruce Wayne. And then you can kind of see, like, it's a great job, I think, on Pattinson's part to do his creepy, I'm standing here not emoting. And then, like, he starts to tear up just enough. Like, after all this time, this guy's going to be the guy that ruins it for me. Like, come on. And then he's just like, I didn't get Bruce Wayne. And you could just see him be like, oh my God. Yeah, right? Yeah, dude, you didn't. What? Oh my gosh. Like, yeah, you suck, dude. You're in prison. Because I kept thinking, like, with Autumn, she said it really well earlier. I kept thinking he wanted to be in prison, and that his next thing was going to be like, watch me basically walk out of Gotham PD unhindered or unencumbered. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I was like waiting for that sweet moment where he was just going to be like walking out and all the cops are like were turning away or something bad had happened to them.
It really just puts, like, it just really reminds me of like a kid that literally like shot up their school, and if you were to like go talk to them, they would be like, you're like me. We're the same.
It does.
And it's like, no, you're crazy and you're gonna reap the seeds you sowed.
You're gonna reap what you sow.
Yeah.
Reap what you rot.
It's
you know what I mean? Like it was just like this weird interaction where he was like, the Batman loves me. And he's like it's like this sounds, I don't know how to put this into words. It's like when kids see bad things happen on the news and then they are like, I'm going to do that too because I want to be famous.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. Where he was seeing all these bad things happening in Gotham. He was like, I'm going to make my mark.
Yeah.
You know, and he was like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do riddles and I'm going to duct tape my face. And then I'm going to have people do it too, just to look like me. And people follow me. And it didn't feel like the Riddler at all, because the Riddler doesn't want to be caught. The Riddler doesn't want to be involved at all. Like almost like hands off completely.
Yeah.
So it just felt like weird. Like I was like, this is lame. This dude.
Yeah, the finale with the Fringe group, which was very coordinated, and I thought was kind of funny when they pulled up like the little, like not YouTube videos, but whatever his like dark web series was, and there was like a little community where there's like a chat, and he's just like, you know, you guys mean so much to me, and I'm so glad like we came together. You're like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like I shouldn't be feeling anything other than like this is disgusting. I'm like, oh my God, they're cute little Fringe group. They'll never do anything with it. And it's like, but why do they? And then like they do a great job of showing you that little chat thing. And there's like some things in there where you're like, oh, they're talking about maybe like bulls or something. I don't know. And then like they zoom in on the parts when like they start thinking more about what's really happening. And you're like, oh my gosh. But I kind of thought the the pièce de résistance, the end of this whole true riddle thing, which had been building up with all these different cards and kind of, showing off that Gotham, the people who were running it, were really bad people. That like it was I don't know, it was a weird ending to like he won because he floods the city and floods them all to like the Madison Square Garden of the place, and he's just gonna have them all shot like fish in a barrel. But I thought that whole ending with like having him just shoot or having the Fringe group shoot everybody was kind of like it seemed like not his style. Like it was kind of like
Yeah,
this was weird to me. I don't know, what'd you guys think about it?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. Like I mentioned earlier, like I felt like it was pretty good Riddler up until he got caught, and then it just crumbled. Like his plan of just shooting people like fish in a barrel is like that's not what the Riddler would seem like he would do.
Like shock the water or something, or like have a device in there that'd be like once you came in you couldn't get out, and he starts sucking the air out, or something like that, where you'd be like,
like he wouldn't have people do it for him. Like he would do it.
Right. And, like I'm going to put all of my hopes in the last 6 months of practice into these internet weebs coming with all their marksman training and just shoot up the whole MSG. It's like I don't know if you would trust these idiots to do that.
And like I don't know if you remember, but when Bruce was walking into that funeral, one of the weebs noticed him and was like, do I know you? And then he was the one that he beat to shit at the end.
Oh, really?
And he took his mask off.
I didn't notice that. So there was like a Riddler goon was in the funeral. Oh, wow, that's cool. I didn't notice.
And
that.
I was like, this one-off bum can figure out who Batman is, essentially, but Gordon, you can't figure it out. But you know what I mean? Like I for sure at that point thought the Riddler definitely knew who Batman was. Because like if his goons knew who Batman was, it was kind of like, it just I don't know. They could have done better with that, but it didn't take away from the movie at all.
Yeah.
Like I didn't think the movie was bad because of it.
No.
Like I never was like, like they should have done a better ending.
Yeah.
I appreciate the creativity, I guess.
I really didn't care for the ending. Like, I don't think it made the movie bad by any means, but I do wish that they would have made it different. I just kept thinking like, this is the way the movie's gonna end. Like, I don't know. It just seemed kind of like all of this for this. Like to me, that was the most lackluster, like combat fight scene.
Honestly, I really feel like they just did that so they could introduce Joker.
Yeah, but I feel like you could have introduced him in a million different ways that didn't involve the Reddit dark web.
Yeah.
Well, that part could have been cut off, but he needed to get caught.
Yeah.
Right.
So like
it seems like they're setting up Batman 2 in the sequels for like being the hero, because that's not something we always get with these types of things with Batman.
True.
Like they really held him up in a different way that we haven't seen in the past.
I mean, he saved the mayor.
Yeah, and like we were talking about that earlier. Like
that's
the mayor.
The scene where I was like, really?
They start
like,
shooting.
She didn't want to help him. Like,
she go with him.
Yeah, she didn't want to go with him.
Yeah, but the little boy did, because the little boy knew it was Bruce, because Bruce keeps standing in that creepy way every time he looks at that little boy, because the little boy's like, yeah, and Bruce is like, that was totally me. Like, that little boy keeps looking at me. But
and
I love
I'm thinking,
that
like,
little
girl, you're about to lose your life. Like, this man got a flare and has his hand out to you, and you talking about, girl, you so what? You're going to just drown?
Yeah.
Like, no, what the hell? You just won mayor and you got shot in this dirty ass water, and you're telling me you're gonna take this man's hand? Let's stop playing. I was so annoyed with that. I was like, girl, you better take his hand. Stop playing.
They had to have the little boy do it, which is that through line, right? Like, and she's like, okay.
And there was quite a long pause, I felt like, where everybody was just staring at him with the flare.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all are
that was
stupid.
like the emphasis of this is the moment where we don't trust you. Okay, we trust you.
Yeah.
And that was like the change of the garb from vigilante to hero of Gotham, which was like kind of the whole point of the whole movie.
I don't know. If I'm about to drown and I got shot, I'm gonna take my chances with
Yeah,
the Batman.
I love that
I'm gonna be like, help me, Lord. I mean, if you're gonna take me, do it quick.
She was charged.
I don't want to drown.
She was emotionally charged. She wanted to go out and make a speech while people were getting shot. And she's like, we can't live in fear. And Jim's like, goes to grab her because he's like, you're going to get shot in the face, lady. Like, he's like, please. Yeah. I'm like, Jim, please don't take too many bullets for her. I was like, please don't die here for this. But
thank God he didn't get shot. They really could have done that.
Yeah, she got shot like in the stomach, right? Like something happened.
Like, yeah, I think so. Like in her side or something.
Yeah, because I guess maybe they weren't shooting yet, but like they kind of knew something was going on, and she's like, "Don't go out there," and she's like, "I can't live in fear." And I was like, you know what? I appreciate you're very proud and strong.
That is such a typical crappy Gotham mayor thing to do, though. Like, and they always do crap like that.
Like you can't hurt me. I'm Mayor Gotham. Bang.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's like, okay. And then it was just damn.
Yeah.
Like, really? Y'all really don't trust him? Okay, really?
They didn't, and then I was getting a little bit of goosebumps just rethinking about this, but there's that woman at the end who's gonna go off in the gurney with a helicopter. And Batman kind of helps her. He's like caked in mud and dirt, puts her down, and he's gonna like let her go. And she like holds on to him like, I can't let you go. Like I trust you. I'm freaking out. And he kind of gives her this look like it's gonna be okay. They don't say anything to each other, and then she like lets go, and it's like, oh, it's like really endearing. You're like, that's Batman doesn't get moments like that often. It's usually like he beats up people and then goes into the darkness, and it's like, thanks, Batman, if you can still hear me. Like, I appreciate you. So I love that. I was like a lot of like, it was human moments, which we don't always get with good old Bats.
It really reminded me of actual emergency workers, like actual people working in ambulance or like firefighters. Like
right. It was like he's not only just like the vigilante, but he's like civil servant Batman.
Yes,
like, this is him
exactly.
Being a good Samaritan. Yeah, for
which
sure.
You could tell was hard for him because he's such a socially awkward guy in general. So like his idea was like to not say anything, grab a flare, and be like, "Come with me." It wasn't like, hi everyone, I know it's been a very tough day, you know, like if you follow me we're gonna get to the exit over here. It's just like
I think this Batman understands that silence is sometimes the best. Like, I really think that maybe he's not always thinking, maybe he just knows that silence is better.
It's funny because like you make that Christian Bale, he'd held that flare and be like, follow me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll take you to the promised land or like some shit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, something. The promised land. He probably would say something like that.
And he'd be like, oh, yeah.
But it was just like, I know these people are scared. I'm just going to stand here and wait for them to make a gesture.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's double-edged, though. When he's hanging out with the cops in the beginning, everybody's like, everybody unholster those guns, boys. We don't know. This guy might be the guy who did it. You know, like that. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, we don't know. But it's like they fall in love with him, and you can't help but love it, especially after the tragedy that happens to Gotham. Again, it just seemed like a weird... I think it was just to get to that moment of him helping people. Like, that's why the Riddler's last couple of riddles were not what we're used to, where it's more diabolical. It was like, we just need to put him in a situation where he can fight it, because usually the riddles are things where it's like, it's too late. Like, I want you to think you can fight it. Thus, why he
like by the time
takes the bomb to the face. Like, I love Bruce. You're so smart. He's like looking at the timer, like counting down, and he's just kind of like, what could that possibly be? It's like Bruce, get out of there. Like, you're gonna take a bomb. And then like they don't take his mask off. So thanks to the boys and ladies in blue for the Gotham, because they could have been like, we should just check.
You are.
You know?
I was gonna talk about that. Gordon really played a part in Batman not being unmasked.
Oh, and in the precinct too, with the whole like he's like,
yeah,
all right, so here's the deal. Like, you gotta go this way.
He fully passed out. Like they definitely could have took his mask off like at any point, and you know that Gordon was there being like, don't touch his mask.
Right.
Just leave him.
Yeah.
I have two things with that. One, like you said, him taking the bomb to the face, it was super unreal. That was like one of the more unrealistic scenes of like, if you were staying that close to a bomb, Bruce, I don't think you'd be here today.
Yeah.
I wish,
either that or severely burned. Like his face would have been
couldn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have like had the same writing in the storyline if they would like 5 seconds left and he's like, all right, it's that's it. And he just takes off running, and then it blows up, and it falls forward.
I think they should have done that.
It was
and
just
him
like
just like
he just
standing
ate a
there.
bomb, and he's okay. So that, and then after that, like when he's in the precinct, and then Gordon's like, "All right, like here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna hit me. You're gonna get out of here."
Mhm.
To me, that was the right after he hits him, and they both jet out of there and they meet up. That was the funniest line in the movie when Gordon. The first thing he says with them when they meet back up was, "You really could have pulled that punch."
And then Batman says, "I did." It's like, whoa, dude.
Oh, I was dying with that.
Yeah, see, it's good rapport. You care about that little relationship, you know?
Yeah.
I agree. I love that. I love it too.
Just two guys were like, I don't really know what to do here.
Yeah.
And it just shows his funniest thing.
See, in like a jokier movie, like Gordon would have been like, "I'm gonna need you to incapacitate me," and then Batman would have like hit him in the throat, and he would have like, oh, like he would have fallen over. And
Yeah,
like, you could have killed
right.
me, and he would have been like, "You said incapacitate." Like I didn't crush your larynx, but I almost did. You know, that dovetails nicely into what Autumn was talking about earlier. Instead of using the cape to get away from the Gotham precinct or the PD, he uses his little wingsuit. You know, he wasn't
That
using the
was
cape.
a very
squirrel
like
suit.
that was something that really stuck with me too, because Batman doesn't seem to have fear, and
Yeah.
at that moment he was actually scared. Like he was like, "Oh shit, I have to
have to
jump
use
off
this
of
thing?"
this."
Yeah.
Yeah, like I made this. I didn't think I was ever going to use it, and he zips up that suit, and he's like, "God, Lord, I pray it works." Like
Yeah.
you can tell he's like, "Please, God," right? Like he said a real quick prayer right before he jumps off that building, and that's so realistic. Like it,
God, I've done a lot of bad shit.
yeah, like if anybody's gonna, I mean, like when you're like skydiving or something, I'm sure people are scared. Like even though
Right.
they know it's safe. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not really doing that, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you don't know, and for him
Mm.
to be like, "This is my first time doing this," like you can tell this
Right.
is his first time.
Yeah.
But he was quick with it, putting the suit on,
Yeah.
and he was
Oh,
like,
man.
"It is what it is." Like at this point, this, you know.
Yeah, it was portrayed so well. Like I'm pretty sure everybody held their breath. Like when he jumped up, you're like,
Yeah, like is he gonna be okay?
Yeah.
Like is he gonna fall into like a conveniently placed canopy
Right,
over like
canopy,
over like a fruit
dumpster.
mart or something?
You know, he
Yeah.
hits an overpass and still walks away. He's like the strongest Batman we've ever seen. Like it's incredible
Yeah.
the stuff
Yeah,
he can walk
eating a
away
bomb,
From.
yeah.
I'm like, and then like getting shot. Like he gets like really shot up in this movie.
he
In that
does
one,
get shot up
and
in
you're
this
like,
movie.
he's pretty strong. Like he doesn't come off of that way at the
Mhm.
beginning, and maybe that's one of the things that kind of was like a thought of mine, that it's such a like
He's-
realistic film,
yeah,
except
yeah,
for
yeah.
that. Like
He's
that
more
aspect.
physically strong. He's more physically strong, which is like
Yeah.
cool to see. Like that's what I was saying. He bulked up for this movie. He's not
Yeah,
normally that
I mean,
big.
Right. They kind like in a way made him. Well, I don't know. They're all kind of unrealistically strong, which is obviously that just comes with the territory. But
Yeah.
with him, there were some moments where it was like, really.
Well, yeah, but like I'm thinking about Robert Pattinson like as a person.
Yeah.
He is not that big. He is not that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they showed like a couple instances where he had his shirt off when he was like
Mhm.
trying to figure out the riddle on the floor after Alfred got bombed up. He had like a whole like map on the
Uh-huh.
floor, and he
Yeah.
was shirtless. And then he was like pushing stuff around. They were like showing his back muscles, and that's actually Robert Pattinson probably. I don't think that
Yeah,
they
it
did
probably is.
much like editing to that. So I was like, they're trying to show like he's coming into it.
Mhm.
You know what
Sure.
I mean? Like he's working on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I mean, yeah, the eating the bomb thing was ridiculous. But other than that, I feel like it was. But that's why I said I feel like this is one of the most realistic. Like there was only a couple things where I was like, meh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That and the squirrel suit and just
The
eating
squirrel-
shit on that one too.
Yeah,
He
but
got
but like
messed up.
I mean, like he
If that happened
did
to
though.
anybody, if you lived, you would be out of commission for a long time.
I mean, like we don't know. Maybe there's like something he eats.
I was gonna also bring this up with that. At
Mhm.
the end, he injects himself with that serum, whatever that thing was, to like get himself back up. I thought that was really cool because I don't think we've ever seen that
When
in
he
a
was about to
previous.
die, like he was
Yeah, he got hit with
like
a shotgun.
yeah, on top of that scaffold.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's his
He-
weakness, the shotguns. We all know this.
right.
Especially to the face.
Good
If someone
chill.
shot
Not a
him right in the
bomb.
chin,
Not a bomb.
you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
not a bomb with the shotgun shell.
yeah.
To the midsection.
Yeah, to the midsection. Yeah, this is weak.
Right.
It looks strong to regular gunfire, but
He
the shotgun.
shot himself? He injected himself?
Yeah, it was like a green something, and he
Yeah.
puts it in.
I
That's
don't
how he
even
gets
remember
back
that.
Up. That was
Yeah.
his Popeye spinach moment.
I do
Like,
not remember
I'm
that.
back in it. But I thought that was cool. I'm like, hey, we see Batman with all of these weapons, vehicles.
Mhm.
Wouldn't you think they would have some sort of antidote
Health.
or like
Yeah.
health related thing to get
Yeah.
him back up into the fight? Maybe there's a little cocaine in there. Who knows? But just wham, and he was back up in there. And I was like,
Yeah,
that's a
I
good idea.
just thought it was his love for Catwoman.
Injected into his bloodstream.
No, I didn't see him
Right.
inject because I was
Yeah.
just focusing on her getting beat. And
Yeah.
I was like, "What's someone can help
He
her?"
was shooting up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I
So-
didn't even notice that. I was focused on her getting her ass whooped. And I was like, she's going to fall off the scaffold and die. And this man's about to die. And the movie's going to be over.
Yeah.
And no one's going to help. Like, like, well, that's good to know because I thought he was just like, don't mess with my woman.
Yeah.
There was probably some of that in there too.
I
I mean, like, not really.
probably, maybe some, who knows, a potent mixture of both. But I took that as like an adrenaline shot, you know, like it's just like,
it could be that.
and
yeah.
I,
Oh, like
or
a
what I'm really
EpiPen?
hoping, is that, and I don't know if maybe I'm looking way too far into this, but not in the next movie because they've already set up plenty of villains. Maybe third movie, somebody steals some stuff from him, they distill it down, make it stronger, and that is Venom, which powers Bane typically, which they didn't do in The
Yes,
Dark Knight
right.
Rises. It was Bane was just a ripped dude who had a face
Right.
Mhm.
mask. You
I
know?
was going to say that. I was going to say if you thought that they were going to incorporate Bane.
I
Because
hope.
he is like a pretty high up there villain for me.
The thing is, like, with where they had Bane in the last one, and people kind of not like completely making fun of him, but like it wasn't
I was
maybe
born
the same
in the
way.
dark.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I feel
came
like
from it.
the chances of him are not as high. Whereas, like, I think not in the second, but the third, the Batman film, I think Freeze is coming around again. I really do.
I literally was gonna say that to you.
Mr.
I literally was
he's
gonna
like
be
my
like,
favorite villain
Freeze.
from the
Hmm.
Batman side, and I'm just like, because
Yeah.
you feel bad for him, and he's kind of Thanos-y, where you understand why he does the things he does, and I think a modern, realistic take, if you could still get the whole suit and
on
everything,
Mr. Freeze.
would be so cool. Like, and
Yeah.
not to pardon the pun. yeah.
Freeze would be cool too. I could also see like this Gotham just seems like it would fit him, just like the way that they portray it on screen. But someone that you guys mentioned earlier, and we've never seen in a Batman movie, please bring in Killer Croc. I would love to see just a badass like CGI.
Yes.
Do your whole thing, make him look
Yes.
as nasty as possible. Killer Croc would be amazing.
Just like
We've seen
yeah.
Bane and Joker obviously plenty of times, but Killer Croc, please.
Yeah.
I would love that.
And I
What if the guy in the prison is Killer Croc?
I mean, maybe it could be. Just
I mean,
a weird
like,
way of
I know
presenting
the
him.
laughing probably not,
Right.
but I don't know if you noticed, but his shadow is disgusting. Like his skin looks
Yeah, he's
disgusting,
all,
scarred
messed
up
up.
and nasty looking. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking, this Joker.
Oh yeah,
I don't know,
we're gonna
he's
get to that
scarred up.
because I know about that. I know for a fact who that is. But Killer Croc, look at like I know they took a stab at it in Suicide Squad. I just
Mhm.
want
Oh,
like
that's right. Yeah.
I want them to really like not that everything has to be the Arkham games, but that Killer Croc, this like really big like Batman can't punch him away type of
Mhm.
thing. That's what I'm talking about, baby. But yeah,
Honestly, though, like Batman would really have to step his fucking game up if Killer Croc was like that fight. They could probably only do one fight because Batman could not come back after.
yeah, he'd tear
Like
you up.
he would be on the brink of death
The
after
the
that.
shotgun shell was bad.
Shotgun shell,
Right,
yeah, right.
like there's no way that they could have them like battle it out. Like Batman would have to have so many things in his arsenal for them to fight.
Yeah.
Like Batman almost couldn't get close enough for Killer Croc to touch him. Because if that happens, like it's an interaction, it's over. So they probably can't. They probably trying to figure out how they would even have them interact. Because at that point, it's like he could only live in the sewers. Sorry, I'm touching this thing. He could only live in the sewers under Gotham because this man's not about to be walking around.
Right.
He's half crocodile. Come on.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like Mr. Freeze is a lot more realistic because it's scientist-y.
I say we do both.
So
and what we
Yeah,
do
so we do
is
both.
Killer Croc is working for Freeze, and Freeze promises him
that's a good
like a
idea.
cure. And they do like
Mm.
one fight earlier on where Batman barely survives
Penguin's,
against
like,
Killer.
above all of them.
Sure.
Yeah.
But then
He like houses them under the iceberg lounge.
yeah, exactly. It's like just stay down here. But I think he could do it. I think it could be done. It's kind of like with Bane, where like Batman gets totally messed up in Dark Knight Rises and like takes a long time to recover, but comes
Right.
back and is like, all right, now I know how to tear
Yeah.
you apart. But I think it could be done. And by the way, Jaelen, what a great pick. Like perfect in like the creepy neon lit streets, like underground, like going through a storm gutter. You just see him go by, and be
Right.
like, no thanks, man. Oh,
It's funny you brought up Freeze though, because when I was talking earlier, I was
Yeah.
gonna say they need to bring a villain that hasn't been portrayed really.
well, they
'Cause,
did a
like-
while ago with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago though.
But all puns.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
like a more like relevant one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
circle
it's
back
like
around to
we've
him.
seen Joker a million times.
Oh, totally.
Right. Like if they didn't do Joker, I'd be completely okay.
Yeah,
with
I'd
that.
be okay with that.
Well,
for sure.
It's pretty much been confirmed that is the Joker there at the very end, kind of the big scene, and he will be the villain, probably the main villain for the next one. And there's a reason why. There's like we've noticed this, except for the first Batman, like the Keaton ones. Joker is the guy you bring in for the second movie because everyone's going to see the Batman probably for the first one, but it's like we'll see how this new universe is going, and then you can bring the Joker in because everybody's going to want to see the new Joker because we're all like, what version will it be?
Right.
Like, what are they going to do with the character? So that's why, like, Dark Knight, for example, like Batman Begins was such a weird pairing, but I loved it with like Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow. It's like, whoa, like that kind of works, but then it's like, okay, and then you bring in Joker, and it's like, okay, everybody's here for Joker, you know, like you don't need other villains, you could just do that. But they still brought in Two-Face. I thought at first that was Two-Face because you were saying on him like his face was all messed up.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he starts laughing and stuff, and the more they talk, you're like, okay, this isn't Harvey Dent, which I was hoping they'd introduce.
Anytime I think about Harvey Dent, I just think about the hospital scene with the Joker, and he's clearly the Joker, and he takes off his mask, and Harvey Dent's like, that scene it just
Oh, and he
kills
goes,
me. I cannot
"Hi."
even think about Two-Face without
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like, it's hilarious,
yeah.
very funny.
Aaron Eckhart, side note, great. Like everybody talks about Heath Ledger, which that performance is incredible, wonderful.
I was gonna say that he's the best Joker ever.
Oh, Heath
So
Ledger.
like I don't
Yeah.
So I don't know, like I just don't want to see
I-
another person try to do Joker.
I thought it would have been mind blowing with like they
Yeah.
show the Joker sitting there in the cell and you can't kind of see his face, and then they unveil it. And I know this wouldn't have been canon with the Joker from a few years ago, but if they would have unveiled his face with some light showing on it and it was Joaquin Phoenix, I would have lost my mind. Oh my god, that would have been insane.
The problem, and I totally love where you're going with this, the issue is that it's a timing thing because that
Right.
Joker would have to be like 50. You know, or whatever, or like 16. You'd be like, yeah, you know, back in my day, we didn't have a Batman to deal with. You know, it was just political
Yeah.
injustice, you know, or something, or like the cities cut the funding for, you know, my help. But yeah, I totally understand, and I understand too where like a lot of people they love Heath. A lot of people also enjoyed. You know, we've got Jack Nicholson's performance back in the Keaton version, but
yeah.
I'm glad they keep taking stabs at it because, you know, it's such an iconic character and it's just such the yin to Batman's yang, or, you know, whatever you want to say there. So I'm
Joker
curious to
always
see it.
says he doesn't want Batman to die because
No.
then he won't have anything to do.
Yeah, he doesn't want to know who he is either. That's what I like.
He does. Yeah, it's like pure fun for the Joker,
Right.
which is why
Yeah.
I feel like that's why they always do the Joker, because it can just continue on and on and on, because it will.
Yeah. I'm just a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's a liar though, because in that movie he also says he's like, they're schemers. I'm not a schemer. I'm like, dude, you're a schemer. There's no
Right.
way you got 2 bombs on 2 separate boats with like 2. I'm like, you're not just like on the day. You're like, I wonder what I should do. It's like, no. You're a schemer. Like,
Definition of a schemer.
like, I love you, but like, you're definitely like that whole bank thing in the beginning. Totally a schemer. He wasn't just like sitting
Yeah.
with a post-it note and he's like, I'll wear a mask, but I also have the face paint. He's like, that's
Yeah.
good. That's real good. Like, it's like, no.
I wonder if they're gonna have this Joker actually look like Joker, or if he's just gonna be a regular person with a scarred face.
No, I think I would imagine they would, and I really hope they bring back the
sure hope
Riddler
so.
because if they team like those two team up, because it did sound kind of like a team up. If you put those two guys together, then you can really not only can it be fun and interesting for a while, but then you can get to a point where Riddler starts to get frustrated that Joker is more about the chaos, if you want to do a version of Joker like that, and Joker could be like, you're too stringent and rigid, we got to just roll with the punches, and that's where they can fall apart, and Batman could take advantage of that. So I think it would be a cool thing with Penguin also in the mix too, because it sounds like that's going to be the next trio.
Well, now he has it out for Batman for sure. After that car chase.
Yeah, which
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. What do you guys think of the new Batmobile? Autumn, I want to start with you first on this one because I know Jay's got a little more investment here with this Batmobile.
Yeah, for sure.
Autumn, what do you think of it?
I love it. I think it's sleek. Like it's very, once again, realistic. It looks more like a car.
Yeah.
Than
Can confirm.
like
I've seen it in real life
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems I liked it. And seeing it in the car chase sequence, literally, I had anxiety in the theater. Like, I was literally telling Jaelen, I cannot watch this. Like, oh my God. Like, I was literally like watching it through my fingers. I was like, what? This is like the worst thing for somebody who has car anxiety. Like, I hate driving. I hate the highway. I hate semi trucks.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It was like very realistic too, with like the traffic jams and then like, I mean, so many semi cars, so many semi trucks. I was like, somebody's gonna get smashed.
Yeah,
one of them.
Yeah,
and it's not gonna be Batman. I was like, God, I was like, Penguin, you're gonna die, like now. I'm shocked he didn't die. Right. It was crazy, but. Yeah, I don't really have much thoughts about the Batmobile. I don't think it's bad. I think it's pretty nice. It's a car. Yeah. So, and I'm sure, like Jay was saying, this is Gen 1.
Gen 1, exactly.
No idea.
Yeah.
Yep, just think of that. Yeah. Jay, how about you? You want to weigh in on this, pal?
Yeah, I think, like, before I actually saw the movie and just from the ads and whatnot, I was like, oh, man, Batmobile looks kind of lame. And then actually, like, you see him start it up for that first time when it's just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, damn, like, that looks crazy. And him chasing down the Penguin on the highway was such a good scene. That was my all-time, as a non-Fast and Furious fan, favorite chase scene of all time. It was so just realistic. The braking and like trying to get around somebody and get the fuck out the way, and then like the semi trucks closing you in and boxing you in. It's so just it was so good. And I know that the end of the chase scene was pretty unrealistic with him just slamming on the jets and taking off the ramp. But I thought the way that they did it was still so good of him just being like, well, this is my last option. Let me just hit this thing, and then there's the ramp, and just the music with the Penguin at the end there thinking that he gets away was just so freaking good. Like, oh man, job well done. No idea cinematically how the hell you make that scene happen with a highway and seemingly people on the road and making that all happen, but kudos to the team on that one. That was fantastic.
I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie, so thank God that I don't have that as a reference, because that was insane. Like, I have never watched a chase sequence where I physically was like in pain. Like, I was like physically like This is really intense right now. Like someone's gonna die.
Right.
Like a lot of bystanders on the road are dead already. Like this is ridiculous. Like I'm thinking about I-4 at this time. I'm like, God, Lord, please protect us on the way home.
Yeah.
Because this is what I-4 is like every damn day.
It was actually shot on I-4.
It's a
at
shot
9
on
It probably
p.m.
was.
Yep.
It probably was.
Yep.
Gosh.
Mhm,
It was so bad. By the way, do you want to show your car?
I would have a hard time getting to it right now.
That's
but...
fine.
Oh man, I really wanted him to show it. He finished it
Oh,
I
today.
can send
cool.
you a picture of it afterwards, and if you want to put
Cool.
it in there, you can. But
Oh, sweet. Yeah,
Jaelen collects Legos, so he ended up putting the Batmobile together.
I just finished
the
it earlier today.
the newer one, and it was courtesy of Jimmy. It was a gift from
right.
Jimmy.
Wow.
Super cool.
It's very nice. It lights up and everything. You can see the engine in the inside and all that. It's pretty crazy.
Jaelen helped me out with something. Consider him to be the Lucius Fox to my Bruce Wayne. Which, side note, Jeffrey Wright would have been a great Lucius Fox. But they can't. Can they do him twice? Could they just be like next week?
Probably
It's like
not.
Jim Gordon, and they just like bring him into the same scene.
It will probably
yeah.
be Samuel Jackson.
Yeah.
Please
it could
don't.
be.
He's for sure. Lucius.
Yeah, you're like, what's Nick Fury doing in the Batcave? Get out of here, Nick. But yeah, no, I'm glad that you like it. I'm glad that you like it because I know that we were talking about like getting you something for help me out with a thing, and I was like, oh, this endears me more to the Batmobile. And as I've told you guys, and for people who might not know, I live over in California. I'm nearby where Warner Brothers is, so I went on the tour recently. And they have the actual Batmobile there. And I've seen the Tumbler there a couple times too, which I've heard is the roomiest to sit in. I have not sat in any of them yet, but I did see that one. And for someone who likes old-fashioned American muscle, I like it for that. But because it's Gen 1, I'm curious to see how it transforms over time, because it does seem a little basic right now, but I think that's the point, that and his outfit and a lot of the things, like his little electric gauntlet that's like on the side of his hand. Like it's not his whole, like his fingers where he could just like, boop, like, you're done. But yeah, I wish they hadn't shown that, like the ending of that chase sequence in a lot of the trailers. Like I get that's going to get people in, because when he comes out of the fire, like that moment, if you would have seen it for the first time, would have been like, oh my
man.
God. Like
that is the first time I saw it. I don't think I've seen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
So I was like, even if I had seen it in a commercial, I wouldn't have remembered.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I don't pay as much attention to commercials. So like, I really had no idea. I don't remember any scenes from commercials.
Wow.
So I was shocked.
I remember every single one, Autumn, and it's bad in action movies because they're like, the hero's about to die. I'm like, no, he's got a chase sequence on a bridge coming up with a train. Exactly.
Yeah.
He'll be fine. He's gonna be fine.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But Jaelen, you were asking earlier, and I don't have all the insights, but I've been researching the business because I'm getting more into it. You're talking about how they probably did that highway sequence. A lot of probably not only CG, but also slow moving cars, maybe too. That's a little trick they do in a lot of these things. So if we go back and watch it, maybe if you watched it without sound, like the sound can make it feel, and like the music, so that's another thing. Which, by the way, Michael Giacchino, I believe, was the one who composed the music for this one. Who you guys might know from The Incredibles. If you guys know The Incredibles, like that.
Mm-hmm.
A really great.
It's a very good soundtrack. The Incredibles is very good.
Oh man, it's like one of the best things about that's. I love The Incredibles so much. Oh my gosh,
that music for that movie really makes the movie.
Yeah,
like
so good.
It really makes you. It invokes emotion for sure.
Oh, totally.
Because like I've thought about like other Disney movies that are animated that don't have that great of a soundtrack, and they're just flops. Like I just don't care as much for them.
He also did the music for Up, so anyone who wants to make me cry, all you have to do is start playing some of that music, and I'm not kidding, I will start crying. Like I hear it in the park sometimes, I'm like, they need to shut this off. Like they now I'm like, stop it. Stop. Even like the upbeat like little ones, like, no, this is a lie. This is a lie. This is a sad, like this is like a happy time and then sad time. I'm like,
do you like Kevin? Are you a Kevin fan? I feel like you would like Kevin.
No. Okay.
Either Kevin or Doug.
I love Doug.
Yeah.
Doug is maybe one of the most accurate representations of a dog, especially a golden retriever, which, as we've talked about before, I'm a big fan of. Kevin,
such a great photo.
Thank you. It's a glamour shot, isn't it? It's like she's like,
Yeah.
She's in the way.
She's just so beautiful. Anyway, I miss you, Lily. Okay, sorry. She's only 1,500 miles away. It's fine. But okay, just a side note about Up. All right, I don't like when any film, it's primarily animation that kind of goes in like a lot of different directions simultaneously with the designs of their characters. And I get that the point of Kevin was to be completely different than everything else in the world, but Up has got so many contrasting images. It kind of reminds me of like the latest Mario game, like Super Mario Odyssey, well, the mainline one, where it's like a photorealistic T-Rex next to a chain chomp. And the chain chomp looks like a cartoon, but the T-Rex looks real. That's my problem with Kevin.
That's why you don't like Kevin, because he's hyper realistic.
And Up is that kind of, it's like you got dogs that look kind of real,
it's
that
like
are flying
very
planes,
animated.
that aren't, like, it's just, it throws me off.
It was supposed to be funny, I think.
Yeah.
Like the animation of Kevin was supposed to be funny.
I'll say this.
There's some people who are hardcore Kevin fans.
Oh, well, Kevin's great in the parks. Like, you see Kevin walking around. It's great.
Kevin has his own Loungefly.
Yeah.
Kevin has his own Loungefly, his own merch, his own keychains, tumblers. Like, but Kevin is a whole entity.
He doesn't have his own show like Doug does. Yeah. I mean, Doug's got his own television show, so it's fine.
I'm more so like Doug.
Everybody watch Doug Days on Disney Plus. I swear I'm not a shill for them, but I would be in a heartbeat. I'll promote their stuff for free for now. That's why I do all the vlogs. I'm like, come to Disney. It'd be great. We could meet up. Talk about Doug. I love how it went from like Batman to Doug. Like,
yeah, that was a hard right.
Sorry.
What's the kid's name again?
Boy.
It starts with an R.
You're talking.
Yeah, it's like a name.
Mr. Fredrickson and Russell.
Russell.
Yes. Yeah, Russell.
He's my favorite character.
Russell's great.
He's
Russell's
so funny.
Character. Russell's wonderful.
Chubby guy. He's gonna be like Khalif. Khalif is gonna be like him. Our son.
He's just asking about everything and anything. Mm-hmm. He's like, Russell,
Mr. Fredrickson. Is this supposed to be moving?
Yeah, that movie gives me anxiety, by the way. Not only for the first 20 minutes, but then like the house with the balloons and everything. No, it's just like, and Russell also maybe like not being kidnapped, like he wasn't kidnapped, but like that whole situation seems like
he's just so innocent, sweet, chubby little boy.
It stresses me out so much.
He just gave me anxiety for him almost falling out of that blimp.
Yeah, I don't want him to die.
Oh,
like
God.
Dogs flying in little planes and stuff. It's just, like Up is it's like it was one movie for the first 10 minutes, and then it's just like it's a completely different movie now, and it's like
fun fact, that is the first movie that Khalif ever had sat for and watched, and he fell asleep, ended up falling asleep. But not because it was boring, but because it was past his bedtime.
Oh, okay.
But he actually paid attention to that. There's no other movie, any Disney movie that he cared about. Oh, he did care about Coco. Too.
Okay. Yeah, Coco's good.
But he could only watch like half of Coco and then run away.
Okay. For those that were here for the Batman, go back about 10 minutes.
Exactly. I was trying to think of like what else do we want to talk about with the Batman, like spoiler wise, because I think we covered most all of it. The one thing I did also want to mention, we were talking about length earlier. This, I would say to people, it's about a 3-hour film, so it's pretty long. I like to think of it felt kind of more like the first 3 episodes of like a new television show. And the reason I felt that way is because there's kind of like a plot line with Selena Kyle and her father, Falcone, who's like the head of the mob. And that normally would have felt like when they resolved it, that was the end of the movie, but it was like, oh wait, we have like the Riddler. We still have like 45 minutes left of things to deal with, and it felt like that maybe if it was like a 2 or 2.5 hour thing, that would have been the thing that was cut, right? Not saying it was bad. It was just that like if you wanted to trim it down, that little segment of the movie felt like the most like, here, we're just giving you something extra while you're here for your time. I don't know. Did you guys feel that way?
Yeah, I didn't feel like it dragged in any places until that the fight scene at the end when he's like on top of the scaffolding and he's fighting. That was the only part I was like, what are we doing here? But outside of that, I didn't feel like it was too long. But I definitely see what you're saying on the like if this was a TV show, this could be like the first 3 episodes. I could for sure see that, and it kind of makes me think like I wonder if at any point did they weigh that in like should we make this a TV series or should we stick with the movie even though
It's
this is
too
like
good to be a
3 hours long?
series.
Right. I'm glad that in the end they decided to go movie instead of
Yeah, because I don't
TV
think they
show.
could keep up the cinematic value
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
entire
right.
movie.
That's also
Because
true.
like this is like completely off, but the Mandalorian, it just kind of reminds me of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, where like they couldn't keep up the
Oh.
they couldn't keep up the cinematic value. They essentially got lazy with Boba Fett
Yep.
because they got to this like
Uh,
pedestal, you know what I
right.
mean? Like, and it's like they couldn't keep that up. So I feel like if you were to watch a TV show, it might just like slowly just go downhill from how good
Folks,
the
that is
first.
another conversation for another day. The Mandalorian Boba Fett.
Yeah, we need to have a
Oh.
podcast about that because Jesus. But I was gonna ask you about Falcone. I did not like him at all, like the character.
Hmm.
He wasn't menacing to me.
Hmm.
He wasn't I didn't he invoked like disgust but not in a good way. Like he invoked like you know what I mean? Like not like oh, I'm disgusted with him because he's a bad guy. He kind of just like invoked like you're an old dirty man
Sure.
disgust to me. Like
That was all the reasons I liked his character, though.
Sure.
Like, because he's like kind
ooh.
of supposed to be like not Mr. Freeze or Penguin Joker. Like he's really just the Kingpin, like the mob boss guy.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of at the end of the day, like that's what he would boil down to.
It was just I just didn't like this character. And he wasn't scary. Like he
Right, which
didn't
is
give
like
me like I'm like, man, old man, I could beat you upside the head with a bat.
Yeah.
Like stop. Like he didn't give me like creeper, like
uh
he could kill me vibe. Like it was more like
mm,
you're old and dirty kind of
Yeah.
vibe. Especially when Selena Kyle came in and was like inquiring about her friend and was kind of
yeah,
giving off the oh help me vibe, and he was
yeah.
like, oh don't worry baby, hold on 1 second. And I was like, ugh, you're nasty. I don't like that. And then it's like think for him to admit the murder and all that and then just be like, and she's like, dad, and he's like, oh damn, yeah I
Yeah.
did do it, but I did choke your mom out too. So I'm like, what is this? Like I don't like that. It was just like, come on, really? You
They could have
strangled
made
her
him.
mom, really?
They could have made him just a little more frightening. A bit.
Excuse this, but it just reminds me of a black TV show. Like it just reminds me of like Power or something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I messed around with your mama, and then I just didn't want to do it, so I go ahead and choked her out. Kind of thing, you know what I
You're
mean? Like
like,
the whole like domestic violence and then
right.
having
Yeah.
a baby just running around the city, and then she comes and finds you and is like, "You owe me a lot more than that." Because I mean, like she stole from him because she's like, he didn't pay no
Yeah.
damn child support.
Yeah. Totally.
Kind of the
And
any
you're
my mom is
just
dead.
sitting in the theater like,
Yeah, I was sitting in the theater like, am I watching Power all over again? Lucius, I gotta put me first. Put me first, Lucius. That's what it reminded me of. So I was just like,
If
I've never seen it. I'm
anybody
unfamiliar
watching
with
this-
Power. So
Yeah,
I,
like I said, if anybody watches Power.
I don't know
Really funny.
if you have many POCs that watch this, but
it's more of just
watch
many
Power.
of anyone watching it. You know, like or listening.
Be people.
Yeah, exactly. We're just looking for
it just
most
really
people.
reminds me of like a classic pimp. He reminded me of a pimp.
Sure.
He did
Yeah.
not remind me
of a TV pimp.
of a
Yeah.
TV pimp. He did not remind me of a gangster or a mobster, a kingpin, none of that.
Maybe
Like, he
guy
just seemed
past his
like
prime or something. Maybe that's the point to kind of, because he was around with like helping out Thomas Wayne deal with stuff, and there was kind of like that
true.
like perceived notion that maybe he's been around for a while and people just respect him, but no one thinks of him as like a physical
well,
threat.
Penguin was saying like that he still runs everything. Like Penguin was like,
yeah.
it's all under Falcone. Like you have no idea. Falcone runs this whole shit, and I'm like, you're more menacing than Falcone. Like Penguin is more menacing to me than Falcone. So it's like, why didn't y'all overthrow this old ass man like a long time ago? Like he's irrelevant
They had to wait. They had
at
to wait
this
for the
point.
perfect moment where like the Riddler
Yeah.
got him, and then he was like, "Batman, you helped me kill this guy. We're doing this together." And Batman's like,
I
"It's
also
not the way I'm
hate
looking
that
at it."
Selena Kyle didn't shoot him. I really, really just wanted him to shoot him in the head.
Well, then she
Just-
couldn't. She can never be with Batman though, because Batman's all like, "I'll never kill anyone except for those people
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
highway. Those people on the
But
highway
they're
were
not going to be
expendable."
together
Like,
anyway.
yeah.
So people on the highway.
Well, he didn't do it.
That's yeah. They're like looking
He
over the
technically
footage,
didn't
and
do
Alfred's
it.
just like, "Master Wayne, like these people, they died because of you." He's like, Alfred, it wasn't me personally. That car you see, it's a domino effect. Yeah, he got scared. I was totally in the right. I was not like, Alfred.
I was driving in the shoulder most of the time.
The blinker was on, Alfred.
Alfred,
He wasn't paying
okay.
attention.
I break the law a lot because they were made by men, right? Laws were made by men, fallible men. Speed limits are made by men, fallible. We can break them. All right, those people could have gotten out of the way. They should have, Alfred.
Driving the shoulder, Alfred.
Exactly. Those semi-truck drivers were compensated. Their families were compensated, Alfred. I took care of it. Like, what? Like, if we go back and watch that, do you think that explosion took out 4 or 5 cars and no one has talked about it? We're like, look at that
quite
shot.
A few people died.
We're like,
that's
look
why I
at
was
that.
like, this is like a pretty large explosion, and
Yeah.
they
He's-
did flip
yeah.
quite a few cars.
He's
so I was
slowly
like,
walking
ooh.
towards, upside down like a bat, but people are burning to death behind him, and he's like, I'll be
It's like-
heroic another day.
But he didn't kill Penguin, but he killed a bunch of
Yeah.
no-name people.
I put that on Penguin because
Yeah, that's
he was
true.
the one who caused that whole.
I mean, yeah, he
The
did
pilot.
decide to run.
Yeah,
Which, I
exactly.
mean,
Yeah,
You can't run from the Batman.
Batman's not at that point yet where he can, Spider-Man style, where bad things, a bad guy will do something and he can counteract it quickly and also still deal with the villain.
Yeah.
He's not there yet, but eventually he'll be able to hit a gadget and it'll save someone, and he'll be like, okay, they're fine.
Right.
The car got destroyed,
Yeah.
but they're fine. It's we're kind of nitpicking earlier about this, but maybe that just goes to show how well done I think the movie was. At least for me, it feels so proficient and worth the wait, and there was so much of it. Whereas if this came out in and amongst just so many other Marvel and DC films, I think it would have been wow, it was 3 hours. That took forever. But because of the
Mm.
movement and the fact that we haven't had a big movie like this from DC in a while, not
Mhm.
counting the 4-hour Zack Snyder Justice League cut or whatever. But this, I feel for a lot of people, and someone said to me really well here, they're like, I'm waiting so many years to see this thing. I'm glad it was 3 hours versus it being 2 hours and it's done. And you're like, yeah, we're going on with our day. It's
this is a great film to just get a really good snack and
couple good
relax.
snacks.
A couple good
meal.
snacks and relax. Make sure you pee
Right.
first,
Yeah.
folks. Make sure you pee first.
Oh, for sure.
But
yeah.
it was yes, give us that.
Yeah.
The real
My,
fans are gonna be so grateful
Yeah.
because it was we
Oh,
before
boy.
we saw this movie, my sister, she's not gonna watch this, but if she is, hey,
That would be incredible.
I know that would be amazing. She's 13, so I highly doubt it. But she watched it with her friend, and then your sister watched it, didn't she? Or was it someone else?
Julissa did.
Oh, my brother's fiance. She watched it, and she is 19. So I don't know if it's not hitting with a younger generation, but they were saying, "Oh, it's dragging on," and it was just so long, and after a while, you're looking at your phone, when is this gonna be done? And so I'm thinking it must be a bad movie then,
right.
because nobody had an enthusiastic response until I talked to my best guy friend, and he is our same age. He's in his mid-20s, and he was like, "It was an amazing movie. It was an amazing movie." He was like, "You guys have to see it. You're gonna love it. It was so amazing." And he had like more opinions. So I was like, maybe it's just like going over the younger generation's head, because I feel like a lot of young kids aren't into it anymore. Like they're not into Batman, Spider-Man. I don't know, just like,
Yeah, on that and on the time thing, like you said, like they're the TikTok generation. Like it's
yeah.
not 15 seconds long. 3 hours, it's like 3 days. So like I'm sure to them it's like Jesus Christ. But
It was not long-winded though. Like it needed to be that long for them to finish it.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like they had 2 stories going on at once.
Sure.
So it wouldn't have made sense for them to make it shorter, because like you were saying, one of the stories would have got shorted. And it definitely would have been the Riddler's side, because the Falcone story was portrayed so well, I think, and that was like a quick ending almost.
See, I feel
But-
like it's the opposite, where like the Falcone stuff, you could have resolved it quicker, and the Riddler had to be like the thing
Longer.
that short,
The main thing.
right? Because
Yeah.
Right.
they still. It's
So
like
if they
gave
would
us
have
an extra,
ended it
25 minutes.
earlier, I feel like then it would have been a disservice to the Riddler then. Otherwise, maybe they would have just cut out the Falcone stuff completely.
Right,
But it's like you're losing on either side, because then we're going to be like, what happened with Falcone?
Yeah.
It would have just not made sense.
Right.
So it's like, the time didn't bother me at all.
Sure.
I wasn't sitting there like, oh, when is this over? Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe that that's how they felt about it. But my sister's also 13.
Sure.
That's like still a child. But
Yeah.
and I mean, 19 years old? Like, come on.
Sure.
Like, it's not that long, sis. Like, you sit in class for longer than that.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to my brother on the phone for longer than
Yeah.
that. He probably ain't talking about nothing. What are you talking about at 20? 19, 20? What are you talking about?
How long the Batman movie was.
Exactly. Just took forever. Oh my gosh, I'm
So
still there.
long.
I'm in the theater right now. I'm talking on the phone right now.
You're subconscious.
I'm like, oh
it was
yeah.
just so long.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought
don't
for
think
sure there was like a thread where I thought that they were going to like talk about this, where there was like some reporter had found out all this information about all this corruption in Gotham back in the day, and I kept thinking that was going to be the Riddler's dad. And I thought that was the reason why the Riddler for some odd reason, like his dad worked really hard, somehow got him into prep school with Bruce. And that was going to be like, he had a thing out for Bruce and he had a thing out for the Waynes and everything, because like his dad found all this corruption. And I was like, oh, that's the reason why he hates everybody. But it wasn't that. And I kept thinking that would have been so easy to been like, oh yeah, my dad was the guy who figured all this stuff. He loved puzzles. He loved crosswords. He gave that idea to me. You know,
I kind of like the fact that they made him an orphan though.
Okay.
Like under Wayne Enterprises, like Wayne Manor or
Right.
Wayne
Whatever.
Because like it's how ironic, because it was such a good play, because Bruce is an orphan now. So it's like he can feel the Riddler's pain, but also be like, my dad essentially took care of you, kind of thing. So it's like, when I did have a dad, he was doing what he should have been doing, probably in his eyes. And then also the pain of losing your parents and being an orphan.
Sure.
So it was like, and it's like there was a sequence in the movie where he was just saying like, they didn't see us for so long. Like they didn't know us for so long. And it's like, Bruce can level with that because they haven't. He's been gone for all this time, and nobody cares about him now, essentially. They just care about his money. Nobody cares about him, like, as a person. And he probably feels that way as Batman. Like, people think he's, like, weird. Like, they're like,
oh no, they don't think it. They know it. They're like, and that's why they're so afraid to grab his hand during the flare moment. They're like, what's he doing?
Like,
say something.
So he probably...
Come with me if you want to live, please.
The whole like tear welling up thing too, I feel like maybe that also came from that, because like he his parents dying is still fresh too.
Sure.
Like, because he's only been Batman for 2 years, and he's
Well,
still kind of angsty, and
yeah,
I feel like he's still like healing, and you know what I mean.
sure.
I don't know. It was a good. I'm glad that they didn't do anything else but keep him as an orphan because it hit like real home for Bruce.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, totally. I just meant as far as like Riddler losing his dad, and that's the tie-in, like for
Oh,
something,
yeah,
because
yeah,
there
yeah,
was like
yeah.
that reporter, before I was just like, maybe that was the way in, because there's like a while there I was
Yeah.
like, Riddler just kind of hates society, I guess. Like,
Right.
Mm.
I always love it when there's like a real, or you got to go the other way completely with Joker being like, he's like, I just like blowing stuff up. And
Mhm.
it's kind of fun to like shake it up, and Batman's like, "How dare you?" And Joker's like, "Hey, man, like we kind of got a thing going on here. Like it's
It is
fun."
realistic though. Like the system does chew up kids and spit them out, like
Sure.
foster children.
Mm.
Well, that was like the
So
whole
like that.
Joker thing too, right? It's like the mental health
Mhm.
system and just being like, "We cut the
Yeah.
funding. I'm sorry, man. Like I don't know what to tell you." And he's just like,
No, it is true.
like,
Like that's how it is. Like
Mm.
realistically,
yeah,
like it's hard to get any kind of like human response when you're dealing with the system. Like it's all just um like written on paper kind of thing. It's not like any human sympathy, which
sure,
sucks.
yeah,
So that's what I think that's where all the hatred for society came from.
sure, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, guys, we've done over 2 hours worth here. I mean, and half
Wow.
of that was Doug talk, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, who
Uh,
doesn't love Doug?
Doug's
Come
great,
on.
right? Like even probably Batman loves Doug. Catwoman probably not though. But
Yeah.
we'll let her. She's gonna be in Bloodhaven now. It's gonna be fine. In my head, I still think of Pattinson looking just like the perfect Dick Grayson, like an older Dick Grayson. But I know they say
Yeah.
Bruce. It's fine. I'll keep it up here. You know what I'm saying, Robert? But anyway, closing thoughts, Jaelen. Anything else you want to say about the Batman?
I thought it was great. If you still have the chance to see it in theaters, see it in theaters because there's a couple scenes in there that I would imagine your home setup won't do it justice.
Yeah,
Primarily that chase scene. The chase scene will still be great at home, but Jesus, in theaters,
Hmm.
it's so good. Um, yeah, I thought it was excellent. Go to the bathroom right before it starts.
yep,
Grab
Yeah.
a
hmm
drink,
hmm
snack, the whole 9 yards. Maybe not a drink because then you'll have to use the bathroom.
yeah.
But it was excellent. It right now it's the second best Batman series that I've seen.
Cool. Autumn, how about you? What else would you like to say about the Batman?
Very well-rounded movie.
Oh.
Even though I've sat here nitpicking it for like 45 minutes. That's what this is about. But like very, very well-rounded movie, and I would for sure watch it again and maybe
Yeah, I
again.
can't wait till it's out on
Yeah, like
streaming.
I
Yeah.
would love to watch it just for fun in my living room and
Mhm.
have a pint of ice cream to enjoy also
Yeah.
and use the bathroom freely.
Yeah.
Um but like yes, please see it in theaters if you can because like Jaylin was saying and there's some things that you might not might not catch
Yeah.
The
as
first
well.
watch,
Yeah, on
yeah.
the first watch. So because I mean, we all know I didn't see him inject himself with
Good Coke.
heroin. So I missed that and I was there in theaters. So you might miss many different things if you don't see it in theaters, but it's also such a great thing to see those super suspenseful moments on a big screen.
Yeah, totally. I echo both of your sentiments. I thought it was really, really good. I'm happy I saw it in theaters. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite Batman or take on the character, but I'm so excited and interested to see where they go with it, which I think is always the mark of something good too, where you're like, oh yeah, I want to come back. I want to
Yeah.
see where they're going.
Mhm.
I want to see Joker. I want to see Riddler back. I want to see Penguin. I want to see Freeze and Killer Croc. Like, bring them all. Like, maybe not in one movie, but just like parse it
Bane.
out a little bit. But also, I hope that DC understands that we, as the viewing audience now, if we don't need these origin stories the same way, we can do
Mhm.
multiple characters of the same thing now. So, like, if you want to bring Ben Affleck back and still do the Pattinson stuff on the side, like, do them simultaneously, I still would
Yeah.
love to see, him get another crack besides Flashpoint coming up because. I don't know. That one grew on me, but I think these superheroes grow on you the more time you have with them, And then eventually
Yeah.
we're like, I love that character. Like, especially growing up with the Christian Bale ones, I'm like, he's my Bruce. Like, every time he was in a thing. And there's like one moment, I think it's in Dark Knight, where he's talking to Lucius about those crooked like businessmen from over in Asia somewhere, and Lucius is like, you already knew that they were bad, and Bruce is like, yeah, I kind of did my homework. I'm like, now that's Bruce. Like, Bruce would do that. He would play the whole game, but he'd be like, yeah, no, they're horrible people. We're not doing business with them. But yeah, I'm excited to see what all these guys do with this, because it seems like they have a hit on their hands and they're going to continue with this. And maybe they don't need to feel the need to spin Batman into a bigger universe for a long time. You might not want to introduce Superman anytime soon, and that's totally fine. You don't need to do that. Like, DC, it's okay. Warner Brothers, it's okay. You don't have to. Like, you can just do Batman
I'm
stuff.
enjoying the subdued Batman.
Yeah, smaller, grittier. That's
just
fine.
Keeping it all in just the Batman. So we really do not have to branch out and be like, let's get all these other characters.
Yeah, no.
Gotham's fine.
Yeah.
You can hint to it. You know, you could put like something in a newspaper. That's fine. You could, but like for now, I'd be fine with this for a long time. You know, keep it kind of like Batman
agree.
Noir. But
A long time.
Long time. Yeah, just keep it grounded, as it were. I also wanted to take a minute to bring in one of the reviews from our Legionnaires. This one comes in from Zora Caviar via our Discord. Pattinson presents us with a unique take on the Batman that stands apart from those that came before by being a sad boy hottie that relies more on raw viciousness than gadgetry to subdue criminals. Unfortunately, his performance is somewhat at odds with the film's PG-13 rating, which prevents this version of Batman from going full-on depraved murder hobo, and instead delivers us cringy lines like the Penguin's, "I'm gonna spray paint your ass." While still being a solid film worth at least one watch, it's held back from true greatness by its desire to remain inoffensive to the parents of younger audiences. 7 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for being on. This was so much fun to chat with you. You guys were such easy podcast guests, as I knew you would be. And as I talked about earlier, both of you have YouTube channels. Autumn, I want to start with yours again. Autumn, where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube and just type in Autumn Brown. Autumn as in like the season, and brown as in the color. And you'll find my channel. I also have a Instagram. It's Loungefly101. Once again, that's Loungefly101. You can get the latest news on all the Loungeflies that are dropping. There's like a Loungefly dropping every week, seems like. So there's a new Turning Red one coming. So I'm excited about that.
And this is 101, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
101.
Cool. Just to make sure. I was like, sometimes in these things, people put like a 0 for an O and O for 0. And
right, yeah. Like, it's all lowercase and together, and then just the numbers 101.
Are you a Twitter person? I forget.
No.
Okay, that's fine. I'll put it up. Yeah. I'll put something up there. So where they can find you either way down in the description. Along with Jaelen. Jaelen, where can the folks find you?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube, Galactic Grizzly. Galactic, just like out in space, Grizzly, like animal. Yeah, if you just look me up on YouTube, I talk primarily about the entertainment industry. I cover the most fascinating entertainment in the galaxy, primarily hip hop. So if you're not much into the hip hop scene, it may not be quite your thing, but I make stuff about. I mean, Jimmy and I just did a video a few weeks ago. We're talking about Star Wars music, so there you go. It's not always just hip hop, so take that with a grain of salt. So yeah, look me up on YouTube. There's that, and then I'm also have a TikTok that just started recently. May the bricks be with you. If you're a Star Wars Lego fan, check it out. It's all just one word, nothing special about it. May the bricks be with you. Check it out. New video every day talking about nonsense. Yeah.
Jaelen sells himself short. We did an Epcot video a while ago in the vein of his What Happened To's, which is usually about a musician who's like, what happened to that person? I haven't heard about them in a long time. And it's like, usually, for the most part, it's like, they're still doing well and they have tons of money and they're coming back. Like, don't worry about them. It's right. Am I wrong on that? Like, there's at least a few of them that were that way.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to this person? That it's like, oh, no, they're fine. Like, they're okay.
That
like,
is usually how it goes.
Which is great, though. It's nice to hear because you think about some of those people. You're like, oh, yeah. I haven't thought about that for a while. But also, you dropped a great Halo video a while ago. So, like, and it, like, truly encapsulates Halo as, like, the video game series, like, the experience of playing it and enjoying it with other people. So, I would highly recommend any of those. Maybe the Halo one. Yeah, because it's very good.
Halo one was fun.
Yeah, and you make great stuff, man. I've learned so much about that part of the entertainment industry thanks to you that I never knew about before. So I am always learning, always, forever a learner, a student of the universe. But if you made it this far, which would be pretty incredible, I know maybe Ryan and Jason did. Thank you, boys. But yeah, you can. What's a good hashtag for this? Because if we say the Batman, I mean that's pretty on the nose, isn't it? Who's our favorite villain that hasn't shown up yet for this? Do we want to do Killer Croc? Do we want to do Freeze? What are we thinking?
We're going with Killer Croc.
Killer
I
Croc?
was going to say Freeze.
Oh my gosh, do I get to be
We
the
can do
tiebreaker?
Killer Croc.
Okay,
We can
Killer
do
Croc.
Killer
Okay,
Croc.
hashtag Killer Croc. Let's get that trending. I know we
I was
have the
going to
power
say,
to do
why
that.
not just hashtag Kevin?
All right, neither. Kevin.
No, we're staying
Or
with Killer
Doug.
Croc.
Why
No, we
not?
can't- we can't-
Hashtag Doug.
Doug and Kevin don't need our help. They have Kevin's got a lounge fly. Killer Croc does not have a
That's
lounge fly.
true.
Okay,
Yeah,
right?
hashtag Killer Croc.
He
Let's do
needs
Killer Croc,
needs
'cause
our
he
help.
Gets the least amount of love.
We need to show
Sure.
him some love. We love you, Killer Croc. I respect the fact they took a shot at it in Suicide Squad, and the guy portraying him tried to move like a crocodile, like as he walked around. I'm like, that was a real
I
an
don't
attempt.
remember that.
Oh,
Was
go
that
check
the
it
most
out.
recent one?
No, it's the
No,
old
it
one.
was the Will Smith and Margot Robbie, the
Jared Leto
26. Yeah, Jared Leto,
with his little smiley face on his hand.
Yeah.
Like
I
that.
barely remember that one.
Yeah.
That's a reason why you don't.
Was that with the Joker and Harley Quinn pair
Yeah.
Mhm,
that
yeah.
everybody just like dressed up for Halloween that year?
Right.
Yeah.
The one with gold teeth.
That's correct. It says damaged on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awful movie to me.
Mm.
I just remember being like, what did I just watch?
There's a review of
yeah.
that I have somewhere back on the channel if you guys want to go dig for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh.
I was gonna say it's
Which,
back there.
Speaking of which, if you guys have not already subscribed to the
Yeah,
channel
go ahead
here,
and subscribe to Critical
what
Reviews.
are you waiting on? Well, it's soon to be just straight up Jimmy Good right
Well,
here. I mean,
one day, that's the thing. It's like it's me, just making these things. Yeah, subscribe if you want. I've also told people in the past because I've met people, especially vlogging in the parks. There's so many people who are like, you should subscribe to my channel immediately, and I always tell them, I'm like, here's the thing: if you want to look me up, great. If you watch a few videos and you like them, then consider subscribing. Because if you subscribe right away and you start watching, you're like, this guy's horrible. I don't like him at all. I don't want to force, I don't want to pressure people. But that's just, that's my way. But if you're listening, if you made it this far into the show, then maybe you should subscribe.
right.
Maybe at this point.
Listen this much, I would imagine.
What
But
a gentleman.
Maybe don't subscribe without looking into it all, because then you're actually probably doing more harm than good,
Right,
the numbers
exactly.
wise. But
Exactly. Yeah. And you know what? At the end of the day,
if you want, you could always just donate to his Patreon.
That's true. I was going to say, and
sign up.
Thank you to the patrons who are
Yeah, you
so
can go ahead
lovely.
and just
Who
donate $1 instead of subscribing.
Yeah,
If you
which full
yeah.
transparency, Jalen's name is on this screen right now for the patrons. So
Hey,
Jalen,
you're
you're too
right
kind.
now.
Yeah, exactly. This is how I got that. How I bought you that Batmobile. No, I didn't.
He was like, I'm saving Jalen's patron money every single month, and
that's a Riddler
now I have
move
a
right
whole
there.
Jalen
You know what I
Brown
mean?
account.
No.
And whenever he needs something,
You've
I will
got
just
everybody has their own account. You're like
imagine Jimmy's like,
mastermind.
imagine Jimmy's like, I've been saving this money for you, so if you have an emergency, let me know. 'cause I've been
Exactly.
saving for you.
Just in case. No, and a little inside baseball because Jalen's a big. He's a ball fan, aren't you? Or what? Are you a sports fan? What do you talk about baseball ever, Jay?
Baseball, not quite.
That's
but,
fine. It's okay. We're gonna still use the metaphor. But
there you
Jaelen
go.
and Autumn and I are actual real life friends. We've hung out, and they're very important to me. I hope that comes through on these types of stuff because
yeah, of course.
yeah, you guys are great. It's one of my favorite things that has happened to me about being on YouTube is connecting with people genuinely. And Jaelen found me through the theme park history collaboration I did ages ago. I don't know if that was the Space Mountain one, Jay.
It was.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Park History Space
Which,
Mountain.
if you go back and listen to that, I don't know if it's just me or I was too excited. I talk 300% faster than Jack talks in that video. I'm like, and we did it that way because it's like 27 minutes or maybe even more. It's just like pure Space Mountain information because we start talking about all of the Space Mountains, and I was like, this is going to be like an hour-long video, and people are going to be like, oh, why is he talking about Tokyo for so long? Like, you know, I
have to get all this information out as fast as I can.
We gotta go. But
because
yeah,
all the TikTok brains are going to bug out.
Yeah,
before they hear all the information.
But the moral of the story is that, like, if you find a creator or someone in this world, like website wise, that you enjoy, reach out to them, because you never know when you're gonna find a lifelong friend, and that's what I got out of this whole thing. Aww. So I feel very lucky because it's like family that I never knew I had, and then I met them, and I'm like, yep, we've known each other for ages, you know?
Yeah.
Jimmy, we need to do this more, even if we're not doing a podcast.
Sure.
Just like seeing your face on the screen is so nice. It feels like we're hanging out.
Oh, thank you.
If we can watch a movie like this or whatever.
Yeah. Which
pick our toes.
Side note,
anything.
We did do this on the phone once. It was for the movie Eternals, and if I remember correctly, you guys got about halfway in, and then we're like, "Hey, we're gonna go. Like, we're gonna die."
This is like really bad. This movie's really awful. Yeah.
And I sat there and I watched the rest of it by myself. I'm like, I'm committed to this
Jimmy, I'm so sorry.
I had to see it end.
Like, I've already dedicated an hour and a half to this movie.
It got very Justice League at the very end, and I was like, okay, all right.
Nice.
Like, I was like, there we go. I wanted more of that throughout. I was like, yeah, let's do Justice League, which I still Marvel. Kevin, I'm just down the street. I can help you make the Squadron Supreme. I've already did the wish list for Hyperion, like the evil Superman. Marvel, you can do it. You can. How incredible would that be if you came and you're like, we made a Justice League movie but they're all bad guys. Like, my
yeah,
Lord.
that would be
like,
so nice. Yeah.
Like they make like the offshot Batman who's evil more popular for just like half a second than Batman. Like it wouldn't be forever, but it'd be for just this much time. Then make a Loungefly. Like oh my god.
They did drop a Batman Loungefly.
Oh sweet.
I don't like it. It's so lackluster.
Oh.
It's just his suit, like the pecs part.
Oh, okay.
And his abs. That's it. It's just a plain black bag with the
that's all they need.
Pecs and
that's all it needs to be said.
They got him.
I loved the movie though, so it made me kind of want to buy it. I was like, maybe I should just buy it to show my fandom. But I'm gonna wait and see if they release a better one. Because that one is just like not it for me.
Sure.
They could have done something else.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. Like a pop bag? I don't know. Something. Like cosplay. I don't know.
On that note, folks.
Amazing. Well, I get to say goodbye to them off air, everybody, but I appreciate everyone who stuck around because I'm not just, we got to do it this way. I like to say that because I've had it happen in the past with people and they like hang up immediately and I'm like,
I was trying to talk to you after this.
And it's like people that you're not going to talk to all the time and you're like,
oh no.
I'm sorry. That was not a great, I did a bad
job. That was
job
not a great goodbye.
Yeah, which by the way, another inside baseball thing, if you listen to a lot of podcasts, guys who have like guests on all the time, they'll intro and outro and they'll record that after. So you'll get like a minute on either end of them being like, that was such a great show that person was on. So they bookend it. But no, this is all, you're getting it live. You're getting it real in a way.
Live, baby.
Live-ish. I mean, live adjacent, unedited in a sense. But I appreciate you guys again. Thank you, as Autumn brought up before, the patrons. Jaelen, who's one of them. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you. You're here. Joe won't donate. He just donated his time. Now he's got a kid and he's all like, I can't sit around and talk for 4 hours every Wednesday. I'm like, I don't understand. So whatever. No, I'm just kidding, Joe. I love you. Joe's not listening.
Shout out to Joe.
Shout out to Joe. I love Joe so much. We just celebrated our 10-year friend anniversary. I've known Joe for 10 freaking years, a third of my life. It's good. He's one of the best things I got out of college was his friendship. I really appreciate him.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. But anyway, again, that hashtag Killer Croc, and that's K for killer, C for croc. I'm at JimmyGood013 on Twitter, because the fine folks at Twitter will not give me at JimmyGood, even though that account has not been used, or is like used just barely. I'll keep going after it, and one of these days when I take off into the acting stratosphere, they'll have to do it, or I'll have to do like the real
When
Jimmy
you have a
Good.
verified check.
Yeah, like it's so sad that we fight for these things, but like I just imagine the dopamine rush when you see the blue check.
I
Like,
know.
oh my
On
Lord.
any platform.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, I know.
I'd lose my mind. I would lose
Yeah.
it straight up. But
Club
yeah,
Really just-
Penguin.
That's the ultimate pickup line. It's just, I'm verified.
I'm verified. I'm
Verified.
Yo,
How you doing?
Club Penguin. Suppressed memories.
Uh-oh. I feel like we're about to open a can of worms, and we'll do that after I stop recording. But either way, thank you both for being on. Thanks, everybody, for also hanging out this long. I appreciate it. And until next time, everybody, just remember to adapt and overcome.